Welcome to the Late Night with Chalky podcast.
Okay. Friends and family, brothers and sisters, welcome to the Late Night with Chalky podcast.
Woo! Our guest this week, former pro surfer from Newport Beach. He made a good living, flying high above the lip. His progressive surfing approach landed him on the podium regularly on the air show surf contest circuit. I don't even know what they call it. They don't
Air
even have
show.
it anymore. Air show, but there's multiple.
Surfing air show? Surfing
There was
night?
a few different like leagues or events. Anyways, and he also traveled the world with Volcom, filming for their surf movies. He's had many parts. He's now a dad, and he's sharing his surf knowledge with his daughter and many others soon-to-be superstars.
My son too.
Yeah, even your son.
Yeah, don't forget
Both.
him.
Don't forget both of them. But we know your daughter's ripping. Hey, we were pumped to hear about his sunscreen company.
Sorry, Strider.
Tava.
Sorry, Strider.
Yeah, named after his daughter. And we're stoked to hear who you got on your coaching roster. And we welcome to the show Mr. Dave SurfCoach Post.
Thank you.
Yeah, bro.
Thank you guys. Appreciate being here.
Awesome.
It's been a long time in the works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's probably right when we started the show is when we approached you.
Yeah.
But that was 4 or 5 years ago.
We'll
Yeah.
We'll hook up the guys that we know really well. They're close by, whatever. And now it's like, wait, how long?
How long's it been?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we dive into it, let's promote that thing. I know you already mentioned it, but when did you start Tava sunscreen?
So Tava sunscreen. Gosh, I should know the date where we started this stuff, but the back end story was my wife was if I get this wrong, I'm gonna get in trouble.
Yeah.
But
Should we call it a lifeline?
my wife, we should call in the lifeline. No, but let's see. It started, my wife and her friends started this rad thing called Surf Scouts with girls in San Clemente, and actually Sawyer Limbad was on there at like 8 years old. And I vividly remember surfing Santa with her and her dad, and on a big day at Santa, and I was like, look at Sawyer, she's charging. And he's like, no, she is terrified right now.
Yeah.
And then, now she's on the world tour. So, but what they ended up doing, how Tava started, was they had a sale, and they tried to create something, and they created actually like some lotions first, and then somebody brought up like, why don't you do like a sunscreen? And her and her friend basically sat down and grabbed all of the colored sunscreens with zinc oxide and got them together and figured out the ingredients and spent 2 weeks trying to make a good sunscreen. And then 2 weeks later, they had a good sunscreen, and then it's been in the works ever since.
Refining
it, and the colors change, and you get scared to run a business and / FDA approval, all that stuff, and life gets in the way, as we all know. And then before you know it, it's like when the sunscreen went away and we weren't using it and I was using other stuff, I was like, you need to make that sunscreen again, Liz. This stuff is next level. And it's awesome. Sorry.
It's awesome. American dream right there, starting your own business, and something that you're knowledgeable on because you've worn it your entire life. You use it. It's something you need, but there could be a little niche, and it could be a thriving business, and you just, it's expensive.
Even if it's just a little bit of scratch, but then you're making it yourself, and
pride in it.
Yeah, and it's like really the brass tacks of it all is that people love it. So, and I love it. So
that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
And for my kid, tell you the truth though, when he was little and you get all rashed up, if you ever use zinc on your rashes, it's ideal. My son, and we would make these big like push pop sticks, like the big eco-friendly tubes, and you push it up and you put it on your rashes, and your rashes basically go away.
So sunscreen and rash.
Yeah. It's insane. The inside of my son's suit would be all brown from like where and it would make a huge difference.
And what do you guys, you mentioned earlier, you sell it through
Jack Surf Shop.
That's awesome.
And then Santa Mart and San Clemente, that like closest liquor store to Lowers, basically.
Yep.
We lived right next door to it, and then the owners basically lived above us. So they were like, hey, we'll sell it here, and before you know it, the stuff started moving.
Yeah.
So Jamal at Jack's let us do it. One store at Newport. he's like, I'll see how it does for one summer, and if it does good, then we could do it all for all the stores.
Yeah.
And so for the past 2 years, I think we've moved quite a few, units. The rep guys might say units.
Yeah.
We've sold some units.
Yeah.
We've moved some product.
We're moving some product. The stuff's moving. It's not sitting there.
Yeah.
It's kind of a bummer when it sits there and starts getting. Well, at the liquor store, some of them are like, like dust on them.
Yeah.
As a rep guy, like I walk in there and I'm like, gosh, it's all.
Yeah, you have to clean this
Clean
up.
it up.
Clean it up.
Closer to the register.
Like what's all this other sunscreen doing in here? It's my fault because it went low and I didn't refill it.
Yeah.
Put it between the Reese's Pieces and the what's the other popular the
Skittles.
Sour Patch or
Skittles.
Just right there, you got. Oh, I need all three of those.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start at the beginning. Coach Post.
The beginning.
Yeah, where did you find surfing? How did you find surfing?
Let's see. That's a good one. Maybe at like 5-6 years old, walking at HB Pier, looking down at Northside, seeing people surf and just being like, I want to do that. And then finally, my sister started surfing a little bit, and at age 11 or 10 or 11, I actually had a Jerry Lopez, like her Jerry Lopez little lightning bolt model, and I surfed 32nd Street a couple times, and then that following Christmas, got a surfboard from my parents, and then I think at 12, I surfed all summer long, because I grew up in Orange, so I got to get dropped off at the beach, and then take the bus home to the Orange Mall. My parents would pick me up. And so basically from 12 to 16, I surfed all summer, and then probably once a week until I was 16.
Yeah.
And then once I was 16...
Inland, brother.
Inland, bro.
Yeah.
Where are you from, John?
Long Beach.
Long Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grew up in Long Beach.
Yeah, so it's like everybody thought I was from Newport. But
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So I was dropped off there. And then it was just like when I was 16, my parents were super supportive that as long as the cops didn't show up at the doorstep, you could like have free reign, just like keep going. I had a little job to pay for gas, and that was basically it, and just was all in on surfing.
So your sister got you into it.
Yeah.
And your parents weren't beachgoers or surfers, or your dad didn't surf.
No,
It was just
Dad didn't surf.
You
They
guys
were
went
just
to the beach. And
they were
your
just
sister
supportive. Yeah.
So from 5 years old, that's when you first saw it.
Saw it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I just remember looking down at the pier, and you know how that angle is just awesome, where you could watch people like right underneath you.
Yeah.
And I just
And when you're that young, like things like that are magical, right? Like you're like, holy shit, what's he doing? He's on a wave. He's riding this wave. At 5 or 6 years old, you're just like, dude, things are so much more
bigger than life, larger than life. Like you look, like you said, looking down that perspective of like the waves, and you like see the energy. You feel it almost up down top of the pier. It's splashing.
So how old were you when your sister started surfing?
Gosh, it was roughly like the same time. Like she just started right about the same time.
And who got her into it?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
You don't care. You're like, hey, I gotta
ride to the beach.
So is your sister older than you?
Yeah, she's like 6 years older than me. Okay. So then when I was like 12, let's see, she was.
That's a long gap between seeing it and starting it.
Yeah, and starting it.
Yeah.
Like I could have
that's
the
our
age
that's
bracket.
Our pain, Lar.
That's our pain.
Our inland pain of not being able to surf whenever we could or wanted.
Yeah, the
Not
froth
every day
is a
after
little
school.
higher.
Not every day before
Not
school.
Not every day
school?
before, after.
7
See,
days
but
a week?
you probably have. I call it surf tweaker, which, like, I think the tweaker mentality, like, maybe that's a bad word, but I still like tweak out on surfing, where it's like if the contest is on.
Yeah.
You're watching.
I go to sleep early, but if I wake up at 2 and the contest is on, it's all over.
Yeah.
Like it's on,
Blue.
and I'm just like, let's watch this. Like, what's going on here? And it's like, I have that issue,
Yeah.
But did you have that as living close to the beach, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was everything.
Everything.
Everything. Like the high school surf team was like the end all be all. The contest, we had the Caton when we were kids, which was a winter event. And you had the OP Pro in the summer. Like Main Street had like 30 surf shops. Like that was what we did. Just went and hung out.
It's incredible to hear that you didn't grow up in Newport, because I've always thought you were from Newport. But it's like
I gotta change my intro. Inland coop.
Totally. Totally.
Professional
Inlander.
surf from Orange. That
Inlander.
transplanted to Newport. No, just kidding.
Because he's got. I mean,
You
these
put enough
guys,
time there, you're from Newport now.
Yeah.
these guys that live on the beach, like, or by the beach,
Yeah.
they're so spoiled.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we earned it. We freaking
Yeah.
no matter what. Like back in the day, I always say it. I rode my bike 2.5 hours each way.
You're a
From
slow
Long
pedaler,
Beach.
dude.
You know,
That's really
That's
slow
insane.
pedaling.
if you Google it, I don't know how many miles it
I
is.
dreamed
It's
of
like
doing
4, but
that. Okay, wait. I lived right by the riverbed, and technically I could have rode my bike
But you never did.
all the way to River Jetties, but I never did.
Dude,
But I always wanted to.
Not
right?
once.
But I was fortunate where my parents could drop me off, and I'd just take the bus home.
you
Yeah.
could add a moped and not
Uh-huh.
even get caught like riding the trail the whole way.
But doesn't it?
That would be insane.
Right? They
Sitting on it.
Yeah.
Roar.
Hey, it's so surprising to know that you didn't surf until 12, and from 12 to 16 you were a diehard weekend warrior, and maybe once in a while you got to surf one day during the week.
Yeah.
And
But you know, Frost, you were the same way, right? Like
yeah,
for glass, for the morning glass,
yeah.
like I barely ever got glassy conditions. It felt like if I ever
And you
went
got
after,
crowd conditions.
well, once I started driving, actually,
Yeah.
then it was like I only surfed in the afternoons, and it was wind blown 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Always.
But
Yeah.
to know that you came from inland and you didn't start until 11 or 12, and you were only a weekend surfer, to see what you've done with your professional career, it's impressive, right?
sure.
You're like, whoa,
Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
And I
like you
And
got a lot of coverage, like you've done a lot of, you know.
and believe me, there's guys that surf just as much as me every day, right there, co-partner, like out there, and I'm like,
They never got.
they never got. I won't drop any names, but you know who you are. but it's true, like you know, when you have that much time to think about it and visualize and how you take that psych that you know you're running through it like mind surfing,
Yeah.
and then you finally get down there and you're freaking trying to make it.
So
Yeah.
Try to
Now,
make it
on
happen.
that note, that maybe you would cut out,
Yeah.
which is we had the top women's surfer that's male. That would be the guy that got stuck.
wait, what?
That we're all competing and having fun.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's up with freaking Tom over there, dude? I don't know, dude, but he's leading the women's tour.
Yeah.
Right?
You just throw
You
your
know,
friends under the
like
bus.
he's
Yeah.
cool. He's on the women's tour. He can't make a heat out here, but like in the women's tour, he's totally making it.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's killing it.
He's killing
sponsored.
it. We used to always.
So you
Back to
back to you, and
Okay.
what was your first surfboard?
gosh, I was like, I hate to say this, but yeah, it was over Channel Islands. Well, I rode the one
The single fin lightning bolt.
the lightning bolt that got me into it, and then the Christmas present was the Merrick from Surfside.
Nice.
And then once I got that board, that was Christmas time. I don't think maybe I rode it once or twice till summer. And then once summer just about hit, this one guy named Nick Reich came over and was just like, I heard you got a surfboard. You want to go surf? And it was just on. And then him, my buddy Brian Thien, that ended up being, this is a strange story. Brian Thien grew up like a block from me, and he was like the kid that was super talented on everything he could do, like tabletop BMX. Like he was pushing the limits, and let's see, he was like, you want to go snowboarding right when it started?
Wow.
And I was like, sure. We went to Hot Skates at the Circle in Orange, rented some
Hot
snowboards.
skates was the jam.
Yeah. We went to got Hot Skates. We went there and got the Kemper and strapped in, and nobody taught us. There was no snowboarding back then.
No,
It was
yeah,
like
yeah.
92 or something, maybe 91. I forgot.
Yeah, point the nose down and go.
Yeah, and go. And I remember running into a tree and bouncing off it, But like we learned how to ride together, sort of. And then he turned pro snowboarding, and he ended up riding for Volcom. And we're both in the A Lively Ride, the first Volcom movie. And I was for surf,
What
and he was for
the heck?
and he was for
And you guys grew up
snowboarding.
one block away from each other.
We grew up one block from each other. It
What a
was
small world.
Brian
crazy.
Thien.
Brian Thien, and he's just doing these huge indie grab like things that like Tahoe, like outback stuff, in the
Yeah.
springtime where they go hiking and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old were you when you got that Merrick?
I got that thing at I think 11 or 12.
And you said you didn't really ride it until
that summertime, Like I got a couple shots of me like standing on it riding like in the wintertime at 32nd Street on like 1 foot day or something. But
God, see that pain, bro? Like to get a board for
just
Christmas,
stare at it
and like see it in your room and knowing that God, I can surf that board, but you only got to surf it twice until summer.
The Alita wetsuit with the strap on sleeveless where you could like put the sleeve on or pull it off. They should come back with that.
That was O'Neill.
You
had
probably
one
had
too.
those, right?
No, that
You
was
never
way
had
before.
that?
No, I was Victory when I was a kid.
How old are you?
49.
49.
Yeah.
Birthday?
No, they're around.
Your
I
birthday?
remember.
When's your birthday?
July 20th.
Yeah, so I'm 6 months older than you.
Yeah. But you'll be hitting the 50 before me? Oh,
Wait, no, you're before me.
I'm before you.
Yeah, you're 74.
I'm 74.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So you're a little older.
I'm a little
okay.
older.
Okay.
We're right there.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Hey, don't ask this guy's age. He looks nothing like 69.
Totally 70.
Yeah.
So back to
So this board, what made you decide to get a Merrick, or did
Oh,
your
my
parents
mom
pick it out?
yeah,
They just
parents
went
just-
there like, hey, our son's into surfing.
Yeah,
Like, and
somebody
Used
guided
or
them.
brand new?
used. I mean, brand new.
Wow.
Brand new, freshy. Like, yeah.
Your parents
I-
loved you.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. They spoiled me.
They spoiled you.
I was
You
spoiled.
must have been a good
Because
kid.
America was probably still like
Oh, it was probably like
top of the line.
Oh, it was
Top
like
of the line.
Best
No,
fucking board you
I
can
almost,
get.
I
Dude.
probably almost, I was probably like one channel or one board away from getting the black rail Kern model
Oh,
because
yeah.
those were out during that.
Yeah,
time.
yeah. So, did you used to go to Surfside?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Surfside was like the first. No, the first shop sponsor was actually Mino Suzuki in Newport Beach.
Water Spot.
Water Spot.
Yeah.
With me, Matt
Hot
Dawson.
skates to water spot. Look at
I
you
just
guys.
talked to Matt Dawson just now. Because Matt Dawson, I, and Steve Martin, Steve lived at 29th Street, and we would hang there. And then Mino, like, I ended up getting hooked up with Mino at like 16 years old with Matt. And he was just like, hey, every amateur event you win, I'll give you a free board, you know? And I
That's
forgot
huge.
what
Minnow Suzuki
Mino.
was your first board sponsor.
Yeah, first sponsor, let's see, at all. Yeah, Mino was
How
actually.
sick. But before we get, well, I want to talk
That was
more
before
about
the Volcom stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So at 12.
you get this freaking Merrick. Was it like a game changer for you? Like,
No,
Did
the
you-
game changer was probably the 5'2" Schroff. That was Brian Thien's cousin that lived 2 more doors down. That was my age,
okay.
and we all like skate, bicycle, surf together. We had like a good inland kook crew, you know,
Yeah.
and we all did all that
Hey,
stuff.
we
you
did
know?
the same thing just here at the
Yeah.
beach.
California.
Totally,
That's the
yeah.
California kid lifestyle.
Yeah, it was incredible.
And you throw snowboarding in there too down the
And
line.
then you throw a little bit of skiing and snowboarding, and
Yeah.
a little bit of motorcycle stuff.
So what was the difference with the Schroff? Like,
The Schroff was a 5'2", and it was just like I could turn it. The 5, I believe it was a 5'6", and it was just like stiff. And the 5'2" was like a skateboard, and I remember only being able to ride that for like a week. And I was like, didn't want to give it back, you know. I was
Wow.
like, dude, I could turn this thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I bet it had a lot of volume still, but just that shorter length, I think it forces your feet in like better positioning, you know, or something. Like, could this be squirrely?
Yeah, squirrely's
But-
and like squirrely's good,
Yeah.
you know, but not good to start with.
Yeah.
Were you guys skateboarding like ramps or street skating?
Yep.
Like,
Skateboarding ramps.
Slappies, finding some slappy spots.
Oh, I forget maybe 12 slappies on one little section of curb in front of 7-Eleven
Yeah.
every single day.
every day.
After those pile of nachos with cheese and
All the good healthy
all the
stuff.
mystery beef and the 5-cent candies.
And about 4 Hostess cakes of something.
Suzy Q's.
Twinkies, the pies, the Suzy Q's, the ding dongs, the lazy Suzy or lazy Suzy Q, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
There's
Suzy
a lot.
Q's.
Suzy Q's.
Suzy
you
Q's.
used to eat a lot of crap.
Oh, dude,
So
I lived
much.
on.
Oh my God.
Chocodiles. Those are like bars.
Yeah,
They're like
yeah.
ding dongs, but
I remember the Suzy Q's though, because it's the
cakey.
chocolate
It's like the
like-
cake.
Cake.
Yeah.
cake, and then it had like the swirl
Yeah.
white
Uh-huh.
frosting.
Tastes like
8%.
marshmallow.
Bro,
Next level.
bro. That shit was the ball.
Take them apart.
Yeah. I've told the story before, but when I used to ride my bike for 2.5 hours,
Oh my god.
after we'd surf, we'd go to Food King on Main Street, Seal Beach, and I would always have $1.50 or $1.75, and that got me a bag of Doritos, a Snickers bar, a package of lemon creams,
So bad.
and a Coke.
Just
And I was in heaven every single time, and that fueled my body for another surf and another 2.5 hours ride back.
just straight sugar.
Straight sugar. But dude, I mean, you know, when you're like surfing all day,
It doesn't matter.
and,
You just
and
need-
that I can remember just going, God, Doritos and Snickers
yeah.
and lemon creams, what a fucking combo.
So good.
The
Wash it
turning
down with
was,
soda, no water, just soda all day.
what-
So how was? Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh, turning 16, driving to the beach. Okay, I'm gonna get healthy. Sunny D and fig Newtons. Totally fig. I remember going
Sunny
like
Delight.
this, like Sunny D.
Straight
Like I'm
sugar.
going healthy, driving to the beach. I'm gonna go surf. I gotta get healthy.
There's not 1 ounce of real orange juice in that thing.
So-
all chemicals.
So going back to you,
So the skating, yeah, I skated quite a bit too. And then like I think at like 14, rolled my ankle like doing a wall ride with Brian Thien's cousin. Rolled my ankle out for 3 weeks right at the beginning of summer.
Oh,
Just
shit.
skating's gone.
yeah,
So that was over with skating, but I did love hitting the ramps, going to upland a little bit.
nice.
I wasn't huge doing airs, but like I could kind of get out of the 8-foot bowl a little bit. They had this nice rolling bowl to perfect kicker and then come right back out.
Yeah.
So it was easy to like catch the board and like throw it back down and ride out.
So as a young Grom, inland Grom, and when you come to the beach, did you feel the localism and who were you looking up to?
Yeah, that was right when Filthy Habits came out, right?
Mm.
And then you would see Archie out, you know, I mean not Archie, Richie Collins, and with his glowy wetsuit and just going upside down and just
Louder than
being
life.
gnarly, just
Louder.
being like gnarly, you know? Like, so when I was 16, that was like, from 12 to 16, I probably barely made it up to 54th because I was always dropped off and the bus had to leave from 32nd. So we barely ever, the only time I really went to HB was when it was flat or 1 time or 2 times with a friend that lived close to there. And so I had very little experience or being surrounded by all the 54th Street guys.
Yeah.
I was like in Beginnerville at 32nd Street, you know?
And that's
So
where-
like looking up to people, it was like, I just saw Richie, you know, like he just was he was so bright colored and then like
yeah,
watching that video, like Filthy
Skeletor was very well established.
like
Yeah.
Filthy
Easy-
Habits
yeah.
was incredible. The soundtrack and
Everything.
about that movie was
Yeah.
insane.
And there wasn't
And
that.
was your group?
That and Wave Warriors 3 were like in
Yeah.
the video thing nonstop.
But
Yeah.
there wasn't that many pros at that time at that caliber. You know, like there was only
Yeah.
a couple at Newport. You know, same.
Yeah.
You know, there wasn't this big exploding scene of like Richie was the guy.
Yeah.
You know, like who else was on tour? There was nobody else. Like, you know, a few years behind Todd Miller. You know, had a really good run, but like he was the guy.
Yeah.
You know.
And like, yeah, it's always weird when there's gaps in talent, right? And Newport, everyone knows Preston, like the hottest 100 yards, right? That was way before. But we're talking Preston Murray, Danny Kwok, Jeff Parker, and then
John Gothard.
John Gothard, and then there's a gap that we don't really remember until like Todd Miller, Richie Collins, Robbie Todd,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, there was, I mean, yeah, there's been gaps, but, you know, when you start out, even if you are a local Newport, you do start at those lower jetties.
Yeah.
And then you kind of work your
kind of
way
work
up.
your
Because
way up,
the
yeah.
waves are heavier and the
Yeah.
crowd's heavier or
Yeah.
whatever.
How-
Like, I met Blackies with my, you know, Grom, you know, because it's just
Yeah.
easy and
Oh
mellow.
gosh, like 54th, I remember just being like, this wave's gnarly. Like,
Gnarly.
way harder. You know, like I
And
don't
the
want to
guys
go.
are such
I don't want to
dicks.
go up there. My buddy's like, let's go up there, and he kind of charged, and he still does, you know. And it's just like, let's go up to 54th. I'm like, I don't want to go up there. I just
Yeah.
want to.
Wasn't it kind of crazy
Yeah.
seeing Richie for the first time in
Yeah.
real life?
Yeah, with webs
Not
and
on
shit.
yeah, not on video, and just like, whoa, this guy rips. Like,
Yeah.
because he was kind of progressive
really
futuristic,
progressive.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
With the fucking
Gloves.
apes and
With the gloves,
Mohawk
yeah.
and his freaking
Yeah, the mohawk.
yellow, blue. He was bright. Like I think a lot of surfers were, but if you're a pro, you're definitely not.
Yeah.
No shame. You know.
yeah, you're wearing something bright.
But I think Wave Warriors kind of came out. Wave Warriors
That
3
was-
came out about the same
Dude,
time.
that was one of my favorites. Like
Yeah.
the Archie, the song, his laybacks, and like that was like I watched. Just want to watch Christian and Archie,
Yeah.
and then, the Hawaii segments and all the but
Yeah.
pods.
But those two.
those two
were, yeah,
were
it was
like
next
their
level.
music selection.
So who was the, besides those guys, who was like the surfer you were trying to emulate or thought like, oh
Yeah,
my
just
God.
really just Archie and Fletcher. Really. Yeah. For the most part, same thing. Like,
Yeah.
Wave Warriors 3 was next level.
Yeah.
Those Jays were the same age basically, so it was the same thing.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
I want to be Archie. I just remember probably being in Portugal with you, and just remember like trying to lay back and do the double arm lay back at Cochise
Oh my
and just
gosh.
like lay into it and
Just
like
lay it
this
hard.
is my Archie spot, like where I could just lay into it, and
Yeah.
it's just like you're just trying to emulate them, but put your own twist on it. You
Yeah,
know, and it's
yeah.
so fun.
So okay, you're 16 years old now. You're driving to the beach.
What is your car? What kind of car did you get?
Little Yoda, little white Yoda.
Toyota.
So like, I don't know how I got hooked up with that one, but the Toyota orange guy was like a surf guy.
Babalu?
Not Babalu, it was somebody, the main guy or whatever.
Oh.
Somehow, I don't know how it worked, but I swear, yeah, it was when that first one, and somehow I ended up knowing friends of friends with that manager,
Yeah.
and it made it so easy for my dad to purchase the car. He was like, "That was crazy, dude."
Isn't that amazing how everybody's bought in a car?
Yeah.
And how tedious and how overwhelming it is, and
Yeah.
you're just when you could go in, and we've had partnerships with people in the past where you just walk in, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, sign the paperwork, you're out, and you're like, wow, that was
I've had cars delivered to
that
me.
was awesome. You know,
Cars delivered to me and just handed me the keys. Like, you're set. I'm like, sick.
Yeah, because when you go through one of the bad experiences, it's
Yeah,
just
the worst.
brutal. Like
Yeah.
the negotiation.
Yeah.
It's like an 8-hour day practically.
Yeah.
they want
You know?
they want a little, yeah, it's a long.
It's a long day.
So you got this.
So
I had the little white Yoda. Started going to Newport all the time. Started doing forgot what PASL thing. David
Oh.
Sowers events.
yeah, CBSA, and I think
It was PASL, I think.
okay.
But it might have been the CCSAs were also going on. I did like one of those, and then these PASLs, I believe, were in Orange County. We did some Seal Beach,
I don't. Yeah.
Surfside Jetty. So anyhow, I did that for like from 16 until 17. I did those for like a year, and I did like every division, I think, or like juniors and men's, and I started winning those. And I remember going like, okay, I'm gonna step it up to NSSA next year. And I started doing NSSAs at 17, and I did a Newport event at the same time that year. So that was my
Explorers or
June
open.
open.
The tough
I didn't
division.
really know the difference, you
Yeah.
know, and I didn't know what I was doing. But I started competing there. and then-
Unsponsored still.
Besides the
Midnight?
water spot,
Okay.
and then gosh, it's like interesting to like dive back into this memory bank of how it all unfolded, because I didn't really win that NSSA until I was my senior in high school. So I did win an NSSA my senior year of high school, which I think I was 17, but it might have been 18.
Yeah.
And I just remember like Kent Doonan or Brian Doonan, one of them was like,
Kent Doonan
dude,
brothers.
like
Dude, they were gnarly.
that, or I think it was Zach Keenan. I saw him this morning. But anyhow, one of them said like, dude, like, first off, I'll back up a little bit farther, but I didn't, my buddy made the quarters and I didn't, and I had to sit there and wait. And that was like the turning point, watching everybody, and I was like, dude, I can beat all these guys. I'm like, I just so
After
frustrated.
one of the NSSAs.
Yeah, and one of
Yeah.
the NSSAs because I was stuck there to watch instead of going home and leave.
Yeah.
And then the next one was at Uppers, and then I ended up winning that one. But see, then that's when I just started riding for Volcom, I think, like 4 months prior, I think.
Yeah.
And they congratulated me with, like, this big deal, and it was just really cool, you know?
Go back to that point where you said you your friend made it to the quarters and you're sitting on the beach watching everybody, and in your mind you convince yourself you could beat everybody.
Yeah.
Anybody stand out like you recognize name wise?
No, it was just everybody that was on the national team. Chris Struther,
Yeah.
you know, probably you, right?
Yeah,
Weren't you in there too,
yeah.
right? And it was just like I was in my own little bubble, like with those PASLs and only 32nd Street. So everything was just brand new to me. And it was just like,
Yeah, there's a.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have surfed amateur contest every weekend.
Oh yeah,
And-
and now
And
still.
from like Huntington to Oceanside, it's like really all you have to drive.
Yeah,
You know, like
yeah.
there's something every week.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
back up, I guess, like that PASL thing or whatever the name was, like I was competing there, and then I think it was in the summertime where Volcom just started, and some of my friends got sponsored by Volcom that were surfing Newport, and they were like tight with me, and we were all close, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? They're like, this is Volcom company, you know, started up, and I was like, I want to get sponsored by them. A bunch of guys were sponsored by Quicksilver, and I wanted to be sponsored by them. Everybody wants to be sponsored. But anyhow,
yeah,
Quicksilver owned Newport.
yeah, and then
You know?
back then,
Quicksilver,
yeah,
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. And then,
so you're talking like Mackay McKenna and
yeah, before all that. So
Okay.
there was JJ Rhodes, that was the same age as me, and then I'm trying to blank
JJ
on
Rhodes.
who else it was, but they
Uncle
all
Pat?
got they all not yet, but they got a couple of my friends got picked up by Volcom, Troy Eckert and Wooly. And then I remember Troy doing like this Newport contest was going on, and he's like, "We'll see how you do, and if you do okay, maybe we'll sponsor you." I was like, "Okay." And I got third.
Everything was contest back then. Like,
Yeah.
You got.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
Yeah. Like. Yeah,
Well, you had to have a resume and
Got it.
That was.
That was
know.
part of it,
Yeah.
right?
Like they, you know.
Yeah. See, I didn't know any like. Anyhow, I
Contest.
come in, I get third, and then Troy's like, "Yeah, you probably would have won if you didn't do all those stupid 360s."
No way.
Yeah. I was like, really? Okay. I mean, here, back up just a little bit more too, is I learned how to do airs before I could even turn. Like, I would just hop down this wave and then, like, pop an air. Like, I couldn't turn really. I don't know. I think I had this board that just didn't turn.
yeah.
I had an Alliance. I think an Alliance, right? That was HB Pier, the guy from like 9th Street, basically out of this like the Shack. It's like an antique store now. Not 9th Street, but like 7th
Yeah,
or something.
Yeah.
I think it's
I
Alliance.
remember Alliance though.
Surfers Alliance, maybe.
Yeah.
Surfers Alliance is a brand.
A
Yeah.
board brand, right?
Clothing brand.
Marty Thomas wrote for Surfers Alliance,
Yeah,
right? And a
yeah.
couple
And then
others.
there's
It was
this
like
Alliance surfboard that I had. That was my
Okay.
first custom board my parents got. I think the first one.
Aggression, you mean? Was it a Mike Bomia?
Maybe. It might have been.
Remember him?
Yeah.
But was it in that like wood house there?
It was off in that zone right there.
It might have
Mike
been.
Interesting.
Bomia.
Huh.
But anyways,
Anyhow, that board didn't turn, but I could do airs on it.
yeah.
And I could do 360s. And I remember going to another board and like being able to ride it, but the Aggression or Alliance, you might be right, it might have been an Aggression.
Now, did you
I
know
think
Troy?
He's got a really good memory, and he's pretty
Yeah,
accurate.
I
You
think
probably
it is an
look
Aggression.
back,
I got
check
the A
it.
right. I got the A right
Yeah.
and started with an A.
Yeah.
But it probably did have an Alliance, logo.
Could have had Alliance logo on it.
Yeah.
But did,
But so
did you
then-
know?
I didn't
Troy?
really know Troy.
Okay.
John Morris that just passed away a little bit ago. He was a close friend of mine, and he was the one that was like, we went to a PSWA, and he's like, we gotta watch Troy. Like, he's from Newport, or like surfs Newport all the time, and I remember just looking up to him, you know, like seeing him and shredding, and then he was the Volcom guy, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. We were all Quicksilver guys, and then like I remember them, Wooly breaking off and
Starting.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Troy going with them. And I was like, I want to. Yeah, everybody. You're like just something different, and the vibe they had right from the beginning was like epic.
Yeah.
But it was
Yeah.
like, yeah,
So
small.
you were already riding for Minnow,
Yep.
and then how did his boards work for you? Good.
Yeah, seemed to. I liked him.
Yeah.
And then Cordell came up to me and was just like, "Hey Dave, can I sponsor you and give you boards, basically?"
Who was
And
that?
so-
Cordell Miller.
Oh shit.
Cordell. Yeah, and somehow then I started getting Cordells, and Greg Mungle was a big part of that.
Nope.
Kind of a big part of like also like my mentorship too, because I was always at Cordell's shop, and then Greg was an awesome mentor, basically. You know,
Yeah.
like always trying to coach the kids and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gave me some really good advice as a kid.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
always like worry about like your weakest point of surfing. You know, like if you're only as good as your weakest point. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's
Mungo
interesting,
was
you
a
know?
great.
He's
Is
a
great
beast,
surfer.
right? Yeah.
Oh, he was
Yeah.
a
And
great
Cordell, dude, Cordell freaking rips.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I remember when he first started shaping, they were really funky though, right?
Uh huh.
Like real
Yeah.
The board.
Any beginner hand shape.
beginning. Yeah, I mean it was funny to see Cordell start shaping.
But Mungo was like, you know, the glass shop guy. He was the fin guy. Like
Yeah.
he's always like, check out this new foil, this fin, and you know the flat. Like he was very like
And he
into like that kind of
yeah.
side of business.
And he had stories of like Luke Egan coming in and being like, this board sucks, and he measures the fins and looks at it, hacks the fins off, moves them up a tiny bit. Now try it. And
I
it's
think
the best.
somebody told us that story.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, he would do crazy. Like all the guys on tour would come through, and
Yeah.
you know, like Mungo was involved in
Yeah,
doing shit like that.
He's
like,
an awesome dude.
got my heat coming up the OP. I think this board's not working.
Yeah.
He'll shave off some of the template on the, you know, he'll
Yeah.
get the grinder out, change the
Yeah,
the
the
foil.
glass on fins. Yeah,
Yeah, it was all
you
glass
couldn't
on.
adjust anything.
No. I remember D-Bog getting one of the first epoxies for like Virginia Beach contest, you know, or somewhere like really small, maybe Japan. And he was all, hey, I'm getting this, you know, this board, it's an epoxy. And I'm like, what is that? What are you talking about? And I bring it and I'm like, holy crap, this thing, my tail pad and fins way more than this whole board. Like it was that light. And it was way before, you know, people knew. And yeah, sure enough, D-Bog didn't need any help, you know,
Yeah.
on it. He was going to win anyways. But Mungo was like, yeah, full into that stuff. And Cordell, you know, needed a lot of guidance,
Yeah.
you know?
So from Minnow to Cordell, and then Troy puts you on
Yep. And then
after you got third in that contest.
after I got third in the contest. Yeah. Yeah, and then let's see, got third in the contest, got put on basically. I mean, it was crazy, like walking into the not warehouse because it was just so small. Imagine just walking into your closet and seeing. That's a good comparison.
Yeah.
Your own personal closet is how many pieces of clothing they had that I could pick from. Like
It was that small.
It was that small.
Wow.
So it was tiny, like the size of this kitchen was like they're off this was the warehouse where the clothes were, and then up this stairway
Couple desks.
was their offices where the couple desks were, and the rest of the building was some kind of like warehouse. They just rented this small
little
piece
team
from.
space.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was pretty exciting, and then we went down to Mexico. They just rented a van, and the surf team went down to like San Catine and surfed together. It was me, Matt Patterson, Joe Mack, Troy, Woolley.
Joe Mack rode for Volcom too?
No, he was just part of it,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Because I think
Tom
there's-
Mack or
I
Joe
think
Mack?
Tom, I think Joe.
Joe, okay.
Didn't Tom draw the stone?
Yeah.
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 He was like the fourth guy kind of involved
Yeah.
in Volcom.
Yeah. Well, he had a successful like advertising agency.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So he kind of did the logo, but also slid through all the POP, all the windows, he did all the ads. He did like all the layups and stuff like behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
that guy.
So then
That guy's great. Tom.
good people. Yeah, so then we went on that little Mexico trip, and then it
Felt like
snowballed
you're
into
part of
just,
something like the club.
yeah, it was cool. And then Troy like set up Matt Thomas to shoot photos, you know, and then I
Right.
ended up getting like the cover of. They put me on the cover of Beach Happy like the following summer or something, you know.
Now, was that your first?
Yeah, like magazine kind of thing.
Yeah.
Your first shot was a cover, or no? You got some other little.
I probably had a small thing from Mike Moyer maybe in Surfing Magazine doing like a little turn at no, that was Les Walker actually.
Mm.
And then Mike Moyer liked my interview, and he started communicating with me, and then started shooting photos with Mike occasionally, you know.
Nice.
At 54th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Mike would be floating around in the water in the middle of winter with no wetsuit on, you know.
So polar
With
bear.
his dive camera,
Yeah.
you know, it looked like your phone basically, like
Yeah.
the tiniest little thing, and
He
yeah,
knew-
it was good
he
times.
knew.
That guy's documented a lot of history, and amazing epic shots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, man.
Rest
I know,
in peace. He was
yeah.
the best. And then Maddie, you know, he was a Grom. He was like our age, you know, and he's like, I'm the, you know, like
I'll be a filmer,
filmer,
guy.
like, and he was like super psyched, and he was learning, and yeah, I remember getting like, you know, the first like selfie sticks, you know, like using, you know, some. It was pretty progressive too on trying to like do different things.
Yep.
Yeah.
I traveled a little bit with him.
So did
Yeah.
you start with Volcom? Is that when you start getting more serious about surfing? Like,
Yeah, because Richard Wilcott and Troy were my mentors. At the beginning, everybody thought really of Volcom as a snowboard company because they sponsored the world's best snowboard team. Like, not many, maybe you guys know who Terry Hawkinson is,
Yeah.
right? Like, he showed up to the beach, and Richard Wilcott was just like, oh, this is Terry. He's going to start riding for Volcom. This guy does like a backflip on the sand, right in front of me. And they're like, yeah, he's never surfed before. He paddles out and just goes down the line by himself instantly. And I was like, whoa, dude, this guy's very talented.
Yeah.
And then, sure enough, as you watch him snowboard, he's first guy doing 900s and etc. You know.
so
Volcom was like, what I was getting at is like they were a snowboard company first, and my friends were like, why are you riding for a snowboard company? And I'm like,
Because
well,
he was the biggest name on the roster.
the plant, him, Jamie Lynn, Brian Iguchi. And I actually I didn't go ride with Terrier, but I got to go ride with Jamie Lynn and Brian Iguchi up at Big Bear, you know? So it was incredible.
Yeah.
So I was riding for this snowboard team, but everybody in the offices were all surfers.
yeah.
And so those guys were my mentors, and Richard Wilcott would sit me down and like give me all these ways to like study surfing, of like write down every maneuver you can do, which ones you're doing good at, which ones you need to work on. And you know, like when you paddle out to a heat, put a little wax ball on your deal and like push it off as you like, so you know what you got. One wave, did you get 3 waves? And he had like all these rad coaching tips.
Crazy.
So I got like that, and then I had Troy Eckert that would take me out to Sunset, and he'd be like, "Come on," like, "No, I don't want to go over there." And
Yeah.
he'd be like, "Come on," and I'm like, "Okay." And then Troy was just psycho, you know.
Yeah.
He would charge, and it was just like, that's who I had to like try to step it up and be
Yeah.
there. This guy works. He was pro, but
Yeah, he was.
Isn't it?
he was
He
pro.
was like the.
He's like the work pro.
He was the work first.
He's like the first.
like
Yeah, maybe he's like the first guy that was. Yeah, you know.
like we were tripping. I'm like, wait, you're gonna like you're so
You're gonna
good.
work?
You're gonna just work for Volcom, you know? And like at the time, like yeah, you just that's
Really? Yeah.
that's what you do,
Yeah.
you know? Grand level.
It's a trip.
Good
like
for him.
how
Yeah.
how business savvy and just kind of surprisingly articulate Wolcott and Eckert are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because they're like, they rip at surfing.
Yeah.
You know, and you get that stereotype in your head about surfers, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, there's way more to him than meets the eye.
Yeah,
Right?
everything was
Yeah.
for a reason, calculated and
Yeah.
stuff, but not like stuff where you think like we're gonna own this, we're gonna have stickers everywhere. Like that's like guerrilla marketing to its finest. Like we're gonna dominate anywhere and everywhere with our sticker, you know?
Yeah.
We're gonna throw parties, we're gonna have all the best groms. Like
They-
they just went after
There was a method to their madness.
yeah.
That's the thing that
The
really-
uniforms for the shows,
Yeah.
like everybody's gonna
But-
show up and looking the same.
But even like, you know, in the beginning stages of Volcom, like you said, it's the Volcom idea was spawned with them going snowboarding, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like him and Tucker Hall went snowboarding, and they came back and they're like, "We're gonna start a brand.
Yeah.
It's gonna be skate, surf, snow."
Well, Quicksilver was already doing that, so it wasn't like they
Yeah.
revolutionized it. They just knew that was that's the goal. We
Yeah.
got to do all three. We can't just be one or the other. Like
Yeah.
we're gonna do all three best
Yeah,
in
we
class.
talked about
Yeah.
how other brands did it, but Volcom kind of like owned it.
Yeah.
And every single culture, sport, they had the best of the best.
Well, how do you get those types of rosters without
Without
really
money?
deep pockets and stuff? It's all about like I like what you guys are doing, and I know I trust you guys. You know, like it's all sold on personality and who those guys were,
and the way that they weren't giving stickers to everyone.
Yeah, it was a weird,
right?
And there wasn't interesting or selling any of the clothes that we were.
Yeah.
Jamal at Jack's was like, Dave, we got to get the stuff in here, dude. And I'm like, I don't have any control over it.
Yeah.
He's like, come on, we got to get the stuff in here, and they didn't have it in there.
Did you and Jamal strike up a friendship early on?
Yeah, before they started buying Volcom. So back then, that was when I was riding for Surfside, and then Darren Brillhart was like, hey, do you want to ride for Jack's? And I was like, sure. And then it turned into, hey, I'm going to run the Rusty team. I can't do the Jack's thing. Can you run the Jack's team and just ride for him? And I was like, perfect. And that's where my relationship with Jamal at Jack's started, when I was like 20, 21 maybe.
Wow. So you got in kind of as a team rider, but also running the team.
Running a team, yeah. So then I was like 20, and I was just going to Jack's and getting stacks of T-shirts and stickers and just flowing it to all the Newport kids that I knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was cool.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
SurfCoach.
Brillo, huh?
Yeah.
Brillo.
Yeah. And then having like mentors like Darren as well,
Yeah.
Like we're always looking up to people we want to aspire to be. And Darren was another guy that surfed well and obviously was on the, did really good at the Slater lowers contest, was a big deal.
And he charges.
And he charges. And he freaking, the stuff I heard was just, you're doing what?
Yeah.
Like after going to Hawaii, and it's like, you're going to paddle out to the middle of the ocean to surf?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I could swim all the way back.
Yeah, he's another guy that obviously amazing surfer, but has done well, like, getting into the industry as a, finding a niche and, smart dude.
Yeah.
So, then now you're riding for Volcom, you're riding for Cordell.
Riding for Cordell, and then just basically jumped right into the QS right before I beat Dan Loy in an amateur event, which was like, okay, after this event, I'm not going to do any more amateurs ones, and Dan was in it, and it was like, okay, I got to beat Dan to like really make this like solidify, because Dan was incredible, right?
Yeah.
He was insane, and it was just like
all the boys ripped.
Yeah.
But Dan was
was kind of our like
the
I didn't really Keith was like Chris just a year or two older.
Chris is older, didn't compete. He didn't really do contests. Keith was like
a year older.
He's like my age or our age. Yeah.
But I didn't know. But Dan might have been. I didn't really know
was
Keith.
Probably a year younger or two, but
yeah. But he was in it, and he was the kid to beat. And I remember beating him, and we went to some club or party for the awards, and I won it, and it felt like a big deal, And then I started doing QS events after that. So I basically did like 4 years on the QS or something, 3. And then at that time, Volcom was big into snowboarding too. So I got like all the snowboard gear and snowboard tickets almost for free locally. Mm-hmm. So I rode a lot, and then I did the H2O Winter Classic.
That Troy won every single year.
Yeah, and then I was just like, boy, I could snowboard, and I ended up getting 3rd overall, and I beat Ryan Simmons at HB for the surf part,
Yeah.
And I won $6,000 at that event.
Damn.
So I invested that money into first time going to Australia to do the Australia leg. I invested that money to do the Aussie leg and the European leg.
Nice.
And then that catapulted, and then that got me my seed.
Points for next
my
year.
Points to be in the main event for all the contests, and then I did that for I think maybe 3 or 4 years.
So
before the air show started.
By the time you started doing the pro QS events, there was no more like PSAA or Bud Tour like.
Yeah, it was like the last year, right?
Couple.
Yeah, like right when we graduated, probably like a year after, maybe it was the last year that the PSAA like had like the whole tour here on the coast.
Probably. Yeah, I'd say 95-ish, 94.
Yeah, it could have been a couple years after. Yeah.
But yeah, going to having to save to go to contests, it was expensive, and that's where you had to go. Australia had 2 or 3 events, maybe even more at that time. They had like
you could do 5. Like 5 in a row.
I think they had 5.
Yeah,
yeah.
And then between 3 to 5 in a row, you'd do whatever, like Newcastle, like. Whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Europe was the same way. Yeah, I mean, how incredible to go there and like do 5 contests in like 6 weeks, Like
Yeah,
to
we're
me, that
blowing
was
up.
incredible. It was so fun.
Yeah. So you did that for 3 years?
Yeah,
QS?
roughly like 3 or 4 years, and then once the Surfing Magazine air show series started, then it was just like that's the format I really enjoyed being a part of, where it was like a little bit longer in the time, like in the water, like 30 minutes, maybe even 40 or something, and it was just top air winds.
Yeah.
And it was just like I want to do that.
Yeah,
you know?
because you're known as an air guy.
Yeah, coming from snowboarding and skating, it's just I didn't really care to just do turns, right? I just really wanted to like snowboard on a wave kind of thing.
But there, you know,
I love flying through the air. I don't know what it is, but
But if you're, but the
With the
like,
greatest of ease.
yeah.
it's
But those like QS events, you know, you're starting on like a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday maybe, and you're going all the way through it. Like it's a 5 to 7 day event.
Yeah.
And you got so many rounds where the air, if you could get in, you know, because they had a max, it was done in one day.
Done in
Yeah.
one day.
You know,
Yeah.
and the prize money was getting substantially more. Like you could
Yeah.
make 5 or 8 heats in a QS, and you make like $200. You know,
Totally.
you can do one air. Maybe you don't win the event, but it could be like, you know, the highest or more
Yeah.
technical. You know, they had a bunch of different classes within the rankings too, so you could,
Yeah.
yeah.
So when you were doing the QS, was your aspiration to make it to the CT?
yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to remember if it was like an aspiration to be in what. Like this is where I had to ask Jay. Like, even was there like a world tour to qualify when we first started doing QS, or you made it through the trials and then you were on as like a world tour event?
No, you had, there was a tour to make.
There was
Yeah.
a tour to make, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
There
'cause
was
there was
so-
a tour. We were just trying to think of like the circle that had the tour in the magazines. You know, you had that like circle thing to look at.
yeah,
So yeah, we were on the QS. Oh, the top 32 when you got made it to the main event. Then you went against the world tour guys.
yeah.
And that in Portugal, my first year there, traveling to Europe, I check into the hotel. I'm running down the stairs the first day there, and I'm jumping down the last 4 steps of the stairs, and I roll my ankle, and the thing just
Portugal.
like in Portugal. No, in Spain. I eventually went to Portugal, but in Spain, rolled my ankle. It blows up like a balloon. I put it in ice heat, and 4 days later, it like swells. Swelling goes down. I'm able to surf 4 days later, and then that's the best I ever did in a pro event, where I made like 5 heats and made it to the round of 32.
Wow.
It's crazy
In
how
Portugal.
you like you
Yeah.
get hurt and then the stars align or something because you think like, well, I have nothing to lose, you know, or whatever the mentality is.
Yeah, and I think for me it was like it made me reserve my surfing, right? To like just finish the wave and not really like go high performance.
Mm.
And that's when I really figured out that it was just and then what I coach the kids now is just if you could do a figure 8, like
The whole
if
way.
you do that on set waves,
Yeah.
like it's a figure of motion, a figure of speech is as in heel to toe
Yeah.
to toe. On set waves, there's a good chance you're gonna get an 8.
Yeah.
If you displace water and you go figure 8 motion, you're
Yeah.
getting 8s on set waves. So then you just have to catch set waves.
Lyndon goes. What do you call it when it's just
Horizontal.
pumping down the line and then you kick out?
Erratic.
Horizontal.
Whatever, bro.
Figure 8.
Figure
It's funny.
it out.
It's kind of crazy though. Your injury made you step back and look at your surfing and not look at your surfing. You had to surf mellower.
Yeah.
And it made you better or got you better results.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
So-
we brought this up a couple times at Ballaram.
Yeah.
Went and trained with Mick something.
Kane? No.
McCain?
I don't know.
Some Australian guy, and the guy said surf 70%.
Yeah.
And you'll
You'll have more results because you're not going for 2s or 10s.
Yeah.
You need a couple 6s, pretty much get through every heat and don't.
I guess that's another similarity to golf, right? Because if you're really swinging at it,
You're gonna make
you're
mistakes.
shanking.
Yeah. Are you a golfer?
No. But I've golfed a little bit, you know,
Yeah.
when I was surfing.
Finesse
I had like
and technique and flow and
All
For
about
the kids.
technique with
Yeah.
golf.
right. Yeah. People are like, you don't golf. I'm like, No, I don't know
3 to
where you
6
have
hours
time.
doing what?
Yeah.
Sounds amazing.
Sounds amazing.
Roll a joint, have a cocktail, a couple beers, and like,
It's just-
yeah, that'd be awesome. Like, hang out on the green all day.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, surfing 70%. The other one that I've been following is this guy Paul Check, and he claims that the pain teacher. So maybe that the pain teacher comes in and it makes you hold back and like really focus, as opposed to not out of focus, but just pushing it too hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
So going back to this ankle injury, I remember Dave Post having like ankle injuries. You've had multiple? No? I don't know how that stuck, but when you brought it up, I'm like, I think I remember Dave like.
Well, I blew my during the.
Or you always wore booties. Maybe that was it.
Yeah, I did. I did break my ankle in France after I got third in overall at the H2O Winter Classic. Eckert was going to Quicksilver was having the Quick Cup, and it would be surf in Anglet, take a train to the French Alps, and go snowboard and skate up there at a contest. So I go there, and then fly in that night. The next day we have the surf contest. I make a couple heats, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna win this thing. And in the semi, I'm doing an air reverse, and like the heat before in the quarters, I was throwing air reverse in as it was just easy. I just finally had them locked in, Another thing about visualizing, like a year prior, it was like just remember looking at a magazine, just seeing Chris Ward doing an air reverse, and then watching videos of Rat Boy sticking it, and I'm like, I could do this,
Yeah.
And then once you get it down, it was just like the pieces of the puzzle come together at certain events, and it was just like, there's the air section right there. And I thought I was going to win the surfing part in France, and I was doing an air reverse, and the water coming back up just blew my ankle. And then that's probably like during the time when I felt like I could beat most people. I broke my ankle in France and then had to come home. The following year when I went there, the surf sucked, and then it was bad. We lost right away. And everybody on the way up to the snowboard, they were like, I wonder if the kickers are as big as last year. And I'm like, what are you talking about? How big are they? They're like 20 to 50 foot kickers. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
For real? The H2O Winter Classic was like 5 to 10 foot little kickers,
Yeah.
Like easy.
The first couple of years. And
Yeah.
then they got big.
And then they got bigger.
Yeah.
And bigger. Yeah. But anyhow, that was the snowboarding one where I did break my ankle.
Yeah.
That was the ankle injury that like put me back quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, injuries suck, but I just, for some reason when you brought up the ankle injury, I just remember Dave Post,
But
certain
it
people,
happens.
that guy, I remember his knee, you see him in a brace or something, you hear.
Oh, I had knee brace too for a little while. I tore my meniscus. I had the Casey Curtis brace, the CTI. But those things are insane. Like if your meniscus goes out, sometimes your knee goes straight, but if it bends a little bit, it clicks. So the CTI brace just kept it straight, and that was golden.
Yeah.
All the errors.
That's
pretty minor for how much, progressive surfing, and you're bound to get hurt flying above the lip and landing in the flats or in the impact,
Yeah. Well, I swear, like the meniscus one, I'd have to say, probably had a late night the night before late night.
Yeah.
And I was dehydrated, and I remember the pop at lowers, and it was just like, no, how? And then I went to Tava with the Volcom guys, and it clicked again, and was in pain.
And you that's the kind of injury where it's not so debilitating, but you kind of get on it where it's not totally healed, and it's easy to re-injure,
Yeah.
I did mine. I remember Salt Creek, backside air, same thing. As I landed, back foot slid off, like just right off the back, and I just felt it go pop. And I'm like, oh, just, and you're like, why? But, those injuries happen, and you bounce back,
Yeah.
So, going back to, you said you were in the first movie that
Volcom.
Volcom made, A Lively Ride?
A Lively Ride. Yep.
And it was everything, surf, skate, snow, video.
Surf, skate, snow video.
And music.
Troy told me we're going to Puerto Escondido in a week. Go get a 6'9" or as big as board as you can get. And I was like, oh no. And I just, I think Matty Thomas missed the beginning of my barrel, but he got the tail end of my good barrel there. You know, it wasn't massive, but I had like Abe Lerner there. I think it was Abe. He was down the beach where it was really big. He was just getting huge ones with Troy.
Yeah. I mean,
Terrifying.
that was the training ground.
Were you charging? Did you?
No, I never.
Were you
never,
natural, like big wave?
No, I had like a bit of a scare in big waves, you know?
Yeah.
Asthmatic, not terrified to get held under, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was
always the thing that was holding me back. That was my weak spot that needed to always be improved.
But there was that era where, dudes before us that, I mean, even
Charged.
like that, everybody had to charge. Like if you didn't charge, you weren't going to be a pro surfer.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of it. Like if you don't go to Hawaii and spend a winter there multiple times and charge, you don't have to be this Waimea surfer, but you got to go surf pipe and suns. You got to be hold yourself in those events. And I mean, there was sponsors telling you if you don't go, like you're off the team.
Yeah.
Like it's like fuck. All right.
Yeah.
I was out there. No, but it's intimidating for sure, and it's kind of you don't want to be known as like a little wave surfer,
Yeah.
Although there was guys making a living at that too.
Were you in films already? Like, did you get video parts yet?
No, Library Ride must have been 18 going on 19. And then it was...
It's a huge deal.
Yeah, it was a really big deal. They had a rad party for it. Like the Volcom guys, I think they did like The Garden after that. Right? The snowboard movie, The Garden. You remember that one?
Yeah.
Or no? Yeah.
Totally. I remember the cover.
Yeah, Troy would be going through the Super 8 stuff and taping it to a box, and he would tape I remember showing up and he had this giant box with all these reels, and then he had to glue it together piece by piece.
So crazy.
To make the video. It was incredible.
Like he'd find a part, cut it, and then tape and
then put it together and put it together.
That's so cool when you hear it, like how
how it gets the behind the scenes of what it takes them
was insane.
Yeah, I mean,
and just not fucking up like a killer like wave or like clip, and be like, oh shit, I did, like.
Troy was like hiking in Europe for like months or whatever. Might have been a week, but for those snowboard shots, and he was filming it too.
Yeah, he wore a lot of hats.
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really cool about learning about the backstory stuff of these guys. Like, they're surfers, right?
Yeah. Like,
Wooly went to Pepperdine and was college educated, but he fucking rips, right?
Yeah.
And surfed well in contests and stuff. And if he hadn't gotten that car accident and broke his neck, who knows what kind of surfing he could have done, right? And with Troy, it's like he's kind of gifted skateboarding, surfing, snowboarding,
and
but
he sends
it. But he's so smart too. Like he didn't go to college, but for whatever reason, he's gifted in a lot of different ways and creatively, like gnarly,
So those guys were my mentors. It was an awesome ride. So then after a live ride, I think then we started filming for Magnaplasm, and then Bruce got picked up, and he was like 16 years old. So I got to travel a little bit, and then Gavin was on those things as well, a couple of trips.
Yeah, he was
when was football schmutball?
Yeah, a little bit after, I think, the live ride. I mean, Magnaplasm.
Yeah.
But it's cool to be with a brand like from such a small, like when you first got picked up, getting your stickers and a couple T-shirts and one board short or whatever, to
remember how bad
the movies and how big the brand became.
Oh, it's
You
amazing.
remember how bad the clothes were though?
Oh yeah, I was so, like, now that I look back, I had a box of the first batch of Volcom clothes, and then when my parents passed, it was up in the rafters, and I totally forgot. And they had like the estate sale and got rid of everything, and I forgot it was up there. It was up there with the Sims blade that broke my elbow.
Yeah.
What a bummer, huh?
Yeah.
That'd be
It would have been cool
awesome
to
have in the
those
archives.
big baggy
Don't
pants
worry,
with the-
it's coming. It's all full circle. Like you can
It's
just
all
go
coming
pick it up
back.
off the
Yeah.
shelves. The same stuff. It's just regurgitated.
Oh, the kids are wearing it. The skate kids. Some
Ah.
of them, like a year ago, 2 years ago, like giant. Oh yeah, my son's wearing size 40s. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
How
like, dude,
about
that's so lame. But
the
they
board
think
sh-
it's cool.
The board shorts with the fake,
Yeah, the fake leather.
the fake leather,
And the denim.
Yeah.
weird like cobra skin.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, what the fuck
Yeah,
is this?
leopard. Yeah, like the cheetah, like zebra, whatever. The
Yeah, it was like a black
texture.
leather.
And I
Like a
remember
black leather, like
Matt-
fake leather.
Matt Patterson was the first rep.
He was a rep.
He was a rep. I'm pretty sure it was him that
Yeah.
showed us the line at HSS, and we're like, you know, looking at it like, what the hell is this? Because the cartoon stuff that they used to make, right, with the wino like sitting at the bar drinking,
Uh-huh.
you're like,
Yeah.
who's gonna wear this?
Yeah.
The
Right?
crooked eye.
The crooked eye, and then you're like, we'll support these guys, you know, like, and then I think it took a couple years for sure for it to, you know.
I remember being like in the office. They had like a skate ramp in the office, in the second office, and I just remember Tucker Hall going, "You're gonna send it back? What? You're never gonna get us again!" Doge, and just slams the phone down. And I was like, "That was gnarly."
I bet that's happened a lot over the years for a bunch of different brands.
For sure.
It only goes one way, bro.
Yeah. I know. It's. Yeah, what do you mean? This is the hottest shit out there. Like
Yeah.
we're not. You know, we got others. You know, you just. Regardless, you got to sell it. Like that's. You know, you
Yeah.
got to like, hey, this is the best shit ever. Like you're crazy to think that you know you don't want this or it's not up to par with the other. Like
Yeah.
you're. You know. That's how you roll in the back.
Yeah, but you're right, Jake, because it was awesome to see it from start to where they're at now. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
really.
to watch and see that, you know, like getting Bruce, like you had Terje, you know, and then like Bruce was like the biggest name, you know, coming up. And, you know, when that deal signed, it was like,
Yeah,
it was
this
like-
is real now.
Yeah.
Now they're real. Yeah, I remember that.
because they didn't really have, you know, everybody else was going after like marquee, like already established surfers, and Volcom just said, no, we're going to stay to the youth and then find like these emerging, like up and comers.
Yeah.
Because there was nobody, I thought, like
They were just gnarly surfers.
gnarly for sure.
That you
Like,
respected, and they plucked them out of every region across the globe. Like
Yeah,
Hawaii, their Hawaiian contingency.
oh, they took over Hawaii.
Bro, like
Yes.
gnarly people,
Mhm.
you know? With, like on Kauai, was it?
Kyborg.
Kyborg,
Kyborg, Kala,
Yeah.
Kamale,
Kamala.
Teva Dexter,
Yeah. They did,
Black
for
Bear.
sure.
right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And then I
Dude.
got to travel a lot with Barney Barron.
oh,
That
man.
was Sean was one of the happiest, coolest people I would like ever traveled with. Like always in a good mood.
Would you
Always
just,
like
battle him in the
Yeah.
water?
no, there wasn't much battling Barney because he was just
No, just like trying to outdo each other.
Oh yeah.
You know?
But I was just
Because both of you are fucking.
as you know, being an aspiring pro, I battled everybody.
Yeah.
My goal each time that I paddled out was to be the best guy in the water. That was the goal. Like if I could, I was watching everybody, and if I saw somebody do something, it was just like I wanted to do something better.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you nailed it. The big wave surfing was just that was a hard one to get through. I think if I trained harder, like everybody, if you train harder, you get more comfortable in it.
Yeah.
And you should always spend for all the groms. The more time you can spend in Hawaii, the better, or wherever it's big.
Yeah.
I still hear kids say that it's still. I mean, it's really hard, right? You see the lineup at Pipe
Dude.
when it's big. It's
Well, it's,
so crowded.
like
Let alone the
60 to 100 people on one peak,
yeah,
practically.
yeah,
You know?
like a lowers peak.
Yeah.
Except, but it's
Waves of consequence.
yeah. Nobody knows until you paddle out at that spot.
Yeah.
I watched it at an event where I was like, I can't wait to get out there. I'm gonna get so barreled after the event, and went out there and was like, oh my god,
Humble. Huh?
humbling, yeah. The pristine days are not that it's easy. It's like the rough, stormy days are the days that John and all those guys make it look that much better.
Yeah.
You know, like they make it look too easy.
Well, it's crazy to see even like there isn't a lot of accidents or gnarly wipeouts. There are. We probably don't hear all of them, but that latest one with Zhao,
Yeah.
like holy crap! Like it's surprising to see someone like that who's gotten really comfortable in Hawaii. I mean that heat that he had against John that pipe,
Oh
yeah, a couple years ago. Like holy shit, he took it to John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
All those
Like-
guys are so
Dusty
talented.
Payne went down right
Yeah.
there. It's just that wave's just heavy.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the way he ejected,
Couldn't
you know,
drop.
felt like usually that's kind
That's
of one
the
of the
perfect way to go.
one of the safer ways, you know,
Or
'cause
the way to do it.
yeah, like versus getting sucked over. But I mean, there's so much water, and it has to go somewhere. And it's just folding, and it's going right back on the reef. Like, yeah, it's sketchy. It's scary for sure.
Yeah.
I go there and I'm like, no, I'm good. I'll go surf like down the beach somewhere.
I'm
safe.
going to Rubber Duckies.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I like rubber duckies. Don't want rubber duckies?
Yeah, nothing. But yeah, I mean, you got, you know, with the Volcom house, you got to spend a lot of time over there as much as you wanted, right?
Yeah, let's see. What basically though, I was like a little bit ahead, right at the end of when I was 20, maybe 27 is when they actually got the house.
Okay.
28. So I was at the tail end where I was riding for Vans too, though, and they had a pretty nice setup house too.
For sure.
So I had one winter with them and not the Volcom guys, and the other times Volcom would rent houses though.
Yeah,
Well, they didn't have the Jerry house when I was there.
Mm.
Yeah.
but they always had presence. They always had a place.
Yeah,
you know,
they always had a
just-
place. Rory Parker was the spot where I went and stayed with him for 3 weeks the
Yeah.
first year, you know, right at
Sunset,
sunset. I mean, for anybody that can go over there for weeks on end, it's somewhat paradise.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I did get punched the first time at literally going to Rocky Point. Okay, something happened, and I think Dave Wassel got in a fight with somebody in town, and
Dave Wassel did.
Dave Wassel did.
Okay.
And then I come to Rocky Point, and I have a Volcom sticker on my board, and this dude's like, "Are you Dave?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he just socks me in the face. And I was like, "Whoa, what are you doing? What are you doing?" But I was with Rory, and Rory comes back.
Freaks
and
out.
He comes back, and he's like, but he was younger. He was
Yeah.
only 14
He's still
at the
a
time,
scrapper.
and I was like 18. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, he beat up my buddy, and he's like, "No, he didn't." And he's like, "Uncle Marvin's gonna take you down." It was like, he
Wow.
yelled out Uncle Marvin, and the guy just backed off.
Yeah.
But it was like instantly, I just get punched right. Like,
Wrong Dave.
what?
Yeah.
What is this
Volcom
place?
sticker, Dave. Bam!
Bam!
Yeah,
Yeah, Hawaii is like next
There's no
level
joke.
of what.
It's Wild West.
it was.
Yeah, and then I think
Such
the
a-
next year might have been Wyatt's deal, and I was like, "Oh my gosh,
That-
this
that
place
was-
is gnarly."
Yeah, I mean, there was days where you'd paddle out and you'd just be like, don't look at anybody, you know, don't cut anybody off. Like if you know somebody's going, they're too deep, you're still not like gonna cave it in. You're like,
I just speaking
And when you're
of
paddling back out, you like they're just yelling at you for paddling back out. You know? Yeah.
speaking of Dan Malloy, I just remembered seeing a YouTube clip of him fighting somebody on the beach.
in Hawaii?
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah. It was Dan Malloy,
that's crazy.
and like it
he
was
such
crazy.
such a nice little boy.
Yeah.
Like, I could
It
never
was the
see-
weirdest thing because
had to be
God,
self-defense.
who else was?
That's when he grew into his size.
He was a big dude.
I forget.
He
who-
got because he wasn't that big, but then
Yeah.
all of a sudden he's huge.
Huge.
But he was fight like I think it was like some bodyboarders that he got in a scuffle with,
Yeah.
and then but yeah, somebody finally helped him out. But he was like, boom, and then somebody would run from behind and hit him in the head, like oh shit, boom.
Wow,
I was like, holy crap, this is
that's insane.
gnarly. Dan Malloy,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know he's got two big brothers.
So you did the QS, and then started kind of focusing on
The air shows.
air shows.
And then I don't think I was that successful the first year, I guess, but then I ended up winning the one at Newport, of all places. I mean,
Home break.
the home break, the home advantage for sure, because it just spent so much time there. You just could nitpick which way was going to allow me to do the air that I needed to do, you know?
And, you know, if you're not comfortable, like, hitting those sections,
Yeah.
you know, you're always like, I mean, the airs they're doing now, landing out in the flats, like, just is,
Next
I
level.
heard that's next level. But
Yeah.
you'd always look for those ways where, you know, hey, can I, one, get up above the lip, but two, can I land where I'm not going to, like, break myself,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And in Newport, it took adjustments even come from Huntington and go surfing there a lot. It's like,
It's a different.
it's a
way.
different wave, and you're, you know, you just had this mentality. And after surfing there for like, you know, a lot, you know, putting time in, there was no oncoming section you wouldn't hit anymore. Like, you know, going anywhere, it's like giant shore break. Like, I'm gonna hit that lip, not, you know, it was, it was
Yeah, on
scary
a good
sometimes.
combo swell, you can get 6 to 8 foot kickers, right?
Yeah,
They just come together and it's like the magic is the south swell with a wind swell. So then the left is just coming at you, and you get this wind chip from over here and a 6 to 8 foot kicker coming at you. And I just remember back in the day, I just always wanted to come straight up and go upside down and catch it and just get super inverted, you know. And I got so close a couple times, but
yeah. Now you guys are doing freaking.
now guys.
Now you got to go practice on trampolines to figure out what these guys are doing.
Yeah. So yeah, I won that air show.
And what was the
then,
prize? How much did you get? $4,000.
Like $4,000.
Yeah, I think I remember like.
Yeah, I think it was $4,000. Yeah, and
Awesome.
so that was like probably, you know, a couple years after I got that like $6,000, then I started making decent money and paying for all my trips, and then I was basically on salary, and it was like, 25, 26, I was gone every 2 weeks. You know, it was incredible.
Yeah.
My rent at Newport was like $530, almost living on the beach for my
So
own bedroom. It was insane.
So were you doing a lot of chaperoning trips as well as doing like your surf like professional trips or
No,
Like-
no,
like
No.
team trips or anything? No, it was just straight surf.
just straight surf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, going back, what were you doing in high school? Like, did you have a job in high school?
The first real job I had was Wiener Schnitzel.
Yes.
Yes.
Did you ask? Was free food included?
Oh, food was included.
Yeah.
I made my own chili cheese bacon dogs every time.
Yeah.
Next level.
Was it a building that was?
Oh, I had a hairnet because I had long hair.
You had long hair?
Oh yeah, I
You
had
gotta
hair
get
down.
pictures,
I, had
dude.
I don't even know if I have one.
Come on.
I swear I don't. Like it was past my shoulders, like
Yes.
just whipping it around.
So good. 90s Archie. Good.
Archie and
Fletcher, dude, like,
yeah.
Fletcher, just yeah.
Wiener
And-
Schnitzel.
Wiener Schnitzel, and then I went to a pool cleaning job.
Sick.
Pool cleaning job was insane. My senior year of high school, and it was just like 10 pools for like what, $50 a week or something.
Dude, it's huge.
And I could do it whenever I wanted to.
Yeah.
So then I adjusted my high school schedule. A lot of kids had like your senior year, you get your last 2 periods off. I took my first 2 periods off so I can go surf every morning.
Reshuffled the
Shuffle the
schedule.
deck,
Schedule,
yeah. So and then it's just that way I get glassy mornings every morning. So I was able to go surf like every morning, you know.
What was your like first? So you're still in high school. Any like surf trips like with family? If your parents know your site, did they do a Hawaii trip or you guys go on a family vacation?
That's
or
a good question. Yeah, well, like I did.
that's your
We
question.
didn't
like,
really-
family trip. Well, can we go where there's waves?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
right?
We went up the coast. I surfed Ventura for the first time. When I was like 14 on that aggressive board or aggression board or something.
Mhm.
And I think I only surfed C Street that time. That was the first time surfing C Street. But no like family surf trips. The first surf trip was really the Volcom one going down to Mexico. No,
Crazy.
no, wait. I lied to Dad and said like when I was like 17 riding for with Mino. And like whatever days before I was like, hey, can I go to Mexico? And he's like, no, you're not going to Mexico. I'm like, all right.
We're just gonna go to
Then the
San
next
Diego.
week I was like, hey Dad, can I go to San Diego to surf today? It's cool, right? We'll be home like a couple hours after dark because we'll be way down there. Okay, no problem. So I went down to San Miguel with Mino. That numbnut purposely rides over, like hits this thing in the road. Instead of dodging it, he purposely goes at it, and it was a piece of metal and gets a blowout, and we're like, anyhow, on the toll road with a blowout. I'm in Mexico. I'm not supposed to be there, and I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
why did you do that? Like, you could have went around it. Anyhow, changed tire. Got really barreled at San Miguel.
Dude,
it was
that's
insane.
such a good wave. And those locals are gnarly there too.
Yeah.
But
I think when I was 17, there probably weren't like
not as bad.
I don't think there were any Mexicans surfing back
That was
then.
Barry D-Baw's like spot. He would take us down there.
Yeah.
We're going down to Miguel. You know,
Yeah.
Baja Malibu, and then afternoon session like Miguel.
Yeah.
'Cause, you know, it's protected.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Baja Malibu is so freaking good.
Dude, it's still.
I
mean,
was
it's not. It sucks now. Like, you shouldn't go there. But
You shouldn't go there. Yeah. I
But-
guess they changed. I don't think you can launch skis anymore at Rosarito.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Troy would know.
Yeah, Troy would know. But one of my buddies said that.
The Long brothers and a handful of others that are down there regularly.
So you're back to high school, and as your what were you thinking you were going to be like for a career? Did you ever think about that?
Oh no. That wasn't. I just yeah.
Were you good in school?
No.
Did you have parent pressure? Like, do well like
no,
in college?
like, yeah. So my sister was kind of a derelict, sort of, or just like to party.
She set the tone.
So as long as I didn't have the cops around me. So the good one was, I think my freshman year of high school, my parents moved up the hill into some new homes where there were no kids, I had no friends, and I made honor roll. First time ever. Like, I had nothing to do except homework.
Ugh.
So I made honor roll at 3.0. My dad was like, oh my gosh, you're like a golden child. Let's go get you a car.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is a funny story though. And then, so I get the car. My sophomore year in high school, I have Spanish class, and they're like, my dad's like, if you get a D, you can't surf until your next quarter. You know, you have 8 weeks off.
Yeah.
You know, if you get a D, and I'm like, so I got super stressed out. I was getting a D, got super stressed out, got an A on the final. Then all of a sudden I had bumps on my side, and I was just like, Mom, what is this? Mom takes me to the doctor.
Stress.
You have shingles. Like, what are you stressed? And I'm like, well, my dad told me I wasn't going to be able to surf if I got bad grades.
Wow.
My doctor told my parents, don't worry about his grades. He'll get through high school. It's not a big deal. So I never had to worry about grades anymore. So I
slipped that doctor a freaking little extra.
That was next
the
level.
pressure,
The
though.
pressure was gone for grades. So then it was just like, don't fail a class to have to retake it. So then I skimmed
The bar got dropped.
The bar got dropped, so it was cool.
But you weren't.
But like you said, I didn't excel in school, but I know if I sat down and had only that to do, I could retain the information.
Yeah.
I mean,
What
that's
a
all you
trip!
want.
You got shingles.
I got shingles, at 16, 15,
Wow.
at 15.
Just stress.
Stress because I was such a surf tweaker.
Yeah.
Weird, huh?
It's so crazy. I mean, yeah.
But that's a funny, like, thinking back of what Deepak, I was listening to Deepak and Russell Brand, and he was talking about how he was a doctor, and he told the guy that he had cancer, and he saw the guy just deflate with, and just, and he's like, he read the guy the wrong chart, and he was like, oh, I'm sorry, like, that was the wrong chart. You're totally fine. And he said he saw the guy blossom like a flower, and he's like, that's that mind-body connection. The mind is connected to the body and can totally destroy the body. And so if we're not positively thinking, we're like destroying our body by the negative thoughts, right?
So
I just heard that one the other day, and it's like, that's your body destroying itself, right? Just being so stressed out.
Yeah, think positive and good vibes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's all about it.
When I have a shocker in the water and I tell myself I suck,
that works good, huh?
It sucks. It totally just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It totally,
You idiot!
It totally diminishes your
energy,
surfing.
Your energy.
Like your energy, yeah.
Yeah.
But
But it's easy.
It's so hard to like
to
stay positive when you're not getting the right way.
Yeah, when Jay's paddling around, you have to
back
Well,
paddling.
that's when you.
Wait,
That's
because
when
he
you-
paddles faster than you. This doesn't mean you get all the waves.
I don't see anybody.
With T-Rex arms, like,
I don't
like
see
this.
anybody. No, but if
luckily
you're-
for me, his back is jacked, so
Yeah.
I'll have to
It's getting
contend
better,
with
dude.
him.
I'm on it now. If you're having a bad shocker in the water, just come in and sit on the beach and like
Meditate.
just not meditate, but just hang out just for a few minutes and like and go
Breathe
down
in,
the
breathe
beach,
out.
You know, move,
reset.
Move, yeah, just a reset. Like out when you're out there, maybe you paddle this way, you miss a wave, you paddle that way, or you just got to get out of that funk and you got to get out and either walk down the beach and paddle back out, or just wait a few minutes and get back out.
I know
Big
you
difference.
said both your parents are they passed.
They both passed. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
Okay.
But when you started getting sponsored and winning contests and traveling the world, was your dad? Were your parents like, whoa, like
Tripping.
like
Yeah.
proud and like surprised?
Yeah. Dad was super proud of me. Like my mom always said, like they had their own dump truck business hauling sand and gravel, so they worked in the office. They owned they got up to 6 trucks, so
Wow.
they would just tell the trucks where to go, where to pick it up. They got the my grandpa started the business. My dad basically created it, and so yeah, he was, like I said, super supportive, and they were really into it, you know.
Yeah.
I remember like doing I think the Caton contest with all the Volcom guys, right?
Yeah.
And I think I made the final, and for me that was like a
I think we
highlight.
lost us Dr. G team. I don't know. Maybe. I'm just kidding.
That's-
Wait, Dr.
Sorry.
G's team won?
Yeah, we won a couple times, I think.
Yeah, those things were insane. So it's like that was like a big. I remember like my parents being on the beach, my whole family, and like super supportive, and that was a cool highlight, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, but they weren't. They were supportive, and they just wanted me to like do whatever I wanted to do, you know.
Yeah.
And they probably had this idea that like they had a business going, and like no matter what, if he falls off, like
Come work for us.
he's gonna work for us.
Yeah.
And I actually did, like when I was like 29, I worked there for almost a year.
And that's cool to have. Like, I mean, that's
Legacy.
like, yeah, you know, it's your safety net, and your parents like,
without even knowing it.
without knowing it,
Yeah.
and like, hey, go do whatever, but you know, hey, we got the family business, which is like awesome. You
Yeah.
know.
Is it
Yep.
still around?
No. So when the recession hit, and all construction stopped. Like I remember,
2008?
like in like 2000. Let's see.
10.
Yeah, but before that, so the construction side sees the recession coming way before. So my dad, I just remember I was working in the office. I was still getting paid to surf, so I can take off on surf trips at the same time and still try to learn the business with my dad and be in the office as much as I can. And that was in Orange, and so I'd go out there. Anyhow, he's like, "There's no way this is gonna be sustainable to have people buying a load of sand for $1,000." And they were also bringing sand in from Ensenada to Long Beach on a barge where trucks could pick it up and deliver it to the construction sites in Orange County.
Wow.
So it was just exploding, and it was gonna pop sooner or later, and it was just, that's what happened. And then his business stopped, and then when he closed the doors, then he started working for another dump truck business where he just knew how to run it.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
You know, just the types of, you know, different businesses out there to make money. You know,
Yeah.
you think like, hey, I'm just moving sand and rock, but
Yeah, so my
Price
uncle
of
my
land
uncle
where?
was a owner operator, like had his own truck and operated it, and then my dad would hire him for the, you know, but he would make more money because he owned the truck.
Yeah.
And then the other 6 guys that my dad had working for him were just drivers, so they were paid like either hourly or per load, you know.
crazy.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had Scott Scarborough that owns InFlight.
Yeah.
His dad did like land moving too.
Earth
Like,
moving,
Yeah,
Earth movers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff. Yep.
like grading
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yep, the grading, that was all part of it, and then you got cement guys too, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I dove into that business for a little bit, and then one of my like friends from inland, one of those inland kooks that shredded, had a pool cleaning business, and I saw him in the water one day, and I was working for my dad, and then he was like, Dave, I got 100 pools, I need help bad.
Wow.
And he's like, I'll pay you X amount of dollars, and you can surf all day basically, and you just have to go work for about 2 to 4 hours to do the pools. I'll pay you, and you can still surf. And then I started a pool cleaning business at like 30 years old. Let's see, yeah. And then right
Like
at
a
that
spin-off
same
from him or with him? Like
no, I just worked for Mike, for my buddy Hop, and then right when I started that is when Brad Doherty was just like, hey, like I started surfing a lot more because I was at the beach more, and I was going into Volcom more, and I was still trying to be a part of it. At 30, I was just like, I need to phase out. I'm like 30, like what am I really gonna do with my life? It might have been 29, but irrelevant. And then Brad offered me the job to work with the team.
Wow.
You know, the amateur team / the pros. You know.
Yeah.
And it was cool. It was an awesome experience.
Because he needed help, or just
he
divide and
needed
conquer,
help.
like kind of both. Like, hey, we
He wanted they wanted to still be like the different company that had like somebody in the field working, you know, and nobody at that time had somebody at every amateur event. So I was at every amateur event basically with Andrew Doheny during that time. It was really cool to work with him during from like 16 to 20, you know? Yeah. He was a very talented person.
Dude.
It was really sad to hear his dad pass as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's gnarly for sure.
Gnarly.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's like, you know, there's those kids that, you know,
stand out
at a young age, and, you know, you get high hopes, you know, and if they have the right guidance and they, you know, all the things align, you know, you hope, you know, you love seeing people like come, you know, local boy, you know, kind of come through and flourish.
So were you still working with the managing Jack's team too?
So there was like a gap where in my later 20s, at like 27, 28, got clipped from Jack's. And then once I started with the Volcom team, Jamal just randomly hit me up like, Dave, can you help out our team? And I was like, yeah, totally. Yeah. And then I jumped back in with Jamal again and started helping with their team, and it's been a long time now.
Yeah, because it's not like one shop, one town. They have kids all up and down the coast, you know, and that's kind of tricky when it's outside of your little like hometown, and if you're on the radar with all the other kids and traveling and at the events and
and so
makes sense.
I've been fortunate enough to like we picked up Griffin Colapinto when he was like 12 years old, and then he was on the team. They had John on the team until, you know, whatever, like, but he was on like remember the Oakley Shop Challenges? Yeah. Like John was on that for a little while, and then, you know, just pick up Cole Hauschman, you know, when he was young, and just trying to like pick like the best kids and
Kanoa
some
on it?
Yeah, he was, yeah. And then any of the other kids that even just recently I've gotten some photos of kids getting their boxes and how stoked they are, you know?
Yeah.
When you just give them a little bit of encouragement, you know, it's just like
it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. Yeah. And so
yeah, we talk about that, like, you know, your first sponsor, you're just like, what?
Yeah.
You know, especially like someone like you that's from inland, that
you know what that feels like. You've been there.
You earned something that not very many people from your area are ever going to experience, right? So
yeah, even if it's just, you know, hey, this cool kid, he rips, but he's never going to be that like top tier, you know, it doesn't matter. It's like, you know, you're trying to just create like some relationships with some kids that are in the moment, you know, that, hey,
you just never know though.
You never know, and the feedback, the residual, like why do these brands and these surf shops do it? It's like, you know, you want them to be a part of the industry, the culture.
Yeah. I mean, things like that can change the trajectory of your life, right? Because it's such a confidence booster, and depending on if the kid's smart or level-headed, and has good parenting, I mean, that helps them go farther.
Farther,
right?
Yeah, like somebody else that's like, yeah, oh, I don't have just mom goggles on, you know?
Yeah.
Like somebody else thinks he's good too? Cool. Like you should keep doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah. When there's no other industries that like do that, you know, sponsor like young kids for, you know, like we talked about the surf, skate, snow, like now, you know, whatever way, you know, that action sports industry, you know, like most people are part of a team and you have to pay for the jersey and it's just only one season and you got to get, you know, like you're always on this like team thing. And
the organized sports is totally different from our sports.
Yeah, you know. But even if it's like, you know, maybe you're a ice skater, you know, like performing, you know, like what, like niche stuff that isn't a team.
Yeah.
Like there's no ice skate companies that are, hey, well, let's like hook this kid up, you know, like this kid rips, or like, you know, like it doesn't happen outside.
Company.
Like it doesn't happen outside of, you know, the action sports, which is just crazy.
So you were transitioning out of pro surfing, sorta.
Yeah.
You started a pool company and then got hired by Volcom to help run the team, and then
Jax.
And then what?
And then what? And then what? Let's see.
Kids, marriage.
Kids? Yeah. That was the same time that my son basically was born at an NSSA contest when I was coaching the team, like the Volcom team. I think day one I brought him down to like hang out with Janice and Gayleen, and so Zealand has known them forever, you know, and Tava as well too. But they grew up on the beach, which has been really cool. Yeah, and they're both like Tava's competing. Let's see, she kind of aged out, and then Zealand's 16, and he still wants it, you know.
Yeah.
And he pushes it pretty hard. They both do. But, like, they need to push it harder. So, and I was just talking to another guy today. You got to put in those 10,000 hours, you know?
Yeah.
And you got to be obsessed about it, you know? You can't just do 3 hours a day.
Even if you do have the talent, like, you got to be obsessed with it.
Obsessed.
In other words, a tweaker.
A tweaker. You got to be like, if you're not doing it, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
It is, it's...
You got to be passionate and obsessed.
Yeah. And like throw everything away besides.
And that's, you know, good and bad, you know, because it does take away from other aspects of your life, whether it's school or work or family or relationships or whatever,
Totally.
You know, like it's a price that pay, you know.
It's a teeter.
It's a teetering, you know. The reward is tenfold if you can climb that, you know, to that caliber and be a, you know, a high player and within that sport. But yeah, I mean, it comes down to you can't force it. You got to let the kid want it. It's got to be all the kid.
Yeah.
You know, like you know, coming from a dad that had you know pretty much
we're
glorious
both
life of
game.
traveling the world. It's like,
yeah, the both of you.
man, I want my kids to be able to do that. But if it's like they don't, you know,
if they don't have the same vision,
they don't have it.
Yeah,
it's not going to be mine. It's like, okay, well, it's hard. It's hard.
So I did that till about 36, 37. And then the Volcom thing, like I said earlier, the first thing of budget cuts is part of the team and marketing. And I was part of the marketing team, but thank God I was like there and had a tight relationship with them. So they gave me that like severance pay where didn't really have to work and I could build my clientele of surf coaching. And I reached out to Jake Hoos that was running the CDM surf team, and I just jumped in with that and just started working with kids individually, which was essentially the same thing as what I was doing with the Volcom team, except it was one-on-one with families instead of the Volcom team. Like the 10 Volcom kids, I had 10 athletes that I would work on a weekly basis, and it's kind of been the same ever since.
Nice. I mean, that's awesome. You know, obviously, you know, not just having that Volcom resume, you know, of like, oh, you know, working. They see you at the events. They see how, you know, like all eyes are on you. Like, oh, Dave Post, like, you know, he's working with these kids or that. You know, the rumor, you know, is out. Like, Dave, you know, it's easy to work with. He's, you know, I mean, I'm sure, your roster filled up real quick.
Yeah, it did. And And being a surf coach, in a sense, like I have just really dove into the fact that got to kind of, in order to stay busy and have a family and support a family, kind of have to work with all levels. So from like almost beginners to advanced, but it really, like, working with the beginners is really fun to do on a weekly basis, just not every single day.
Yeah.
Because they're so passionate about it. Like, it's just, no matter
want
what they're
some
doing, it's
crazy-
more of your stoke than their stoke. And like, what I nickname myself a woober, like a wave Uber, you know?
Yeah.
Because you're guiding them into waves.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, you're teaching them how to read the ocean, you know?
Yeah.
And there's so much that goes into it. And probably through that time, instead of like the Volcom guys, actually, they're already good, right? They need technical work, right? But the beginner kids, like, brought in a whole nother way of looking at surfing and
Yeah.
trying to dissect how to make them better surfers. And
Isn't
it's really interesting.
it crazy when you are reflecting of you go through surfing, learning it, and get to the the level you're at, and then you're watching these kids, and you're like, "Fuck, surfing's hard. Like, it's really hard." Like, because some people have natural ability or they have the mindset or whatever, but regardless, like, you see it day in and day out. You're working with these kids, and you're like, man, if you just did this, this, and this, like, it'd help you so
Yeah.
much, but it can't compute sometimes, or they do. It's just like, it's so rewarding, but it's also super
Yeah.
frustrating at the same time, because it's like, you want them all, like, it's not, it's
Yeah.
hard to say, right? It's like you
Yeah.
see, you see an ability, they could get here, but then some, like, sometimes they just don't, see. I'm just speaking on mine.
Yeah.
I tell my kid this all the time, like,
Yeah.
hey, just on that turn, like, just extend it, or hey, get a little, like, these just subtleties, and it's like, you go out there and they don't do it, and I'm like, are you not listening? Like,
No, it's not. There's too many distractions, and they, like, so you kind of
simplify it.
simplify it, give them one goal, and think about it, even when you're riding.
Yeah,
And even when you stand up, don't worry about the wave, just worry about your technique.
yeah.
And then it'll kind of come together a little bit.
Figure eight.
But you're right though.
Figure
It's
eights.
like, it's really baffling watching some of them, and you're like, oh my god, like, how long are they going to do this for? But the cool thing I've seen is I've seen some of the goofiest styles turn into really good surfing,
Oh,
So it's like some of the goofiest stuff turns into really good.
Yeah.
and that's
really good surfing.
That's a good point too, because it's really hard at a young age. Like, style isn't even really on that, like, forefront. It's kind of just, doing maneuvers, or
Yeah.
learning
Technique.
and stuff, and then like the stance, you're like, your stance, your front foot, like, that board can't do anything. Well, that front foot's like,
Yeah.
3 inches too far up. Move, just getting the sweet spot on the board. Like, that's, just get your feet here. Like,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
peek. You
And then every surfboard's a snowflake, so they could be on a slug.
you never
And
know,
you're
right?
like, okay, is it the board or is it him?
Yeah.
They get a new board and it's still wrong, and it's like, oh man.
So you've been coaching for a decade at least.
Yeah.
Couple.
Almost 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because you're talking about Andrew Doheny, right? Who's like a prodigy, right? And it's he's done a lot, right? Accomplished a lot, but probably he's like a Dane Reynolds sort of guy, right? Like, explosive, progressive, like, raw. And like Dane, they weren't really like contest surfers.
Yeah.
Right? Which is so weird to think about coaching, and you worked with him for a long time, and it's not your fault, right? Like, you can only coach and it's, try to help somebody progress, but if that person at that time is trying to be a contest surfer, but it ends up not being, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's got to be so, like, not just frustrating, but also like, dude, you've got
Yeah.
so much potential, right? But you're not using it.
Yeah, I'm sure you got people that just want to get better, and then there's some people that like, I want to win heats, you know.
Yeah.
And then there's a combination of both, where you got to look at each athlete as like, hey, what do you want to accomplish? Like, most kids want to compete for sure, but it's like, some are like, man, I just want to. Maybe they want to be the next Dane Reynolds and they want to do a contest or whoever, and some want to be like, I want to win every heat.
So I ran into you. Was that Saturday or Sunday? Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday morning.
And that kid
Got accepted to Yale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long had you been working with him?
Since he was 12, I think. Yeah, and he's 18 now. Yeah.
And
Surfer that's going to Yale.
Yeah, just once
no
a
ways.
week. I've just been working with him and his family once a week. And he's like the same thing. Just wants to get better.
Yeah.
Competes a little bit. Likes to compete. And he's just in it to get better. Yeah.
Yeah.
But was he surfing in that contest?
No. We were just
Surfing.
Yeah,
by
just off to the side because it was better.
Yeah.
You know? The overall goal is to get the people in the best ways possible.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you're
Not take them to a horrible place.
You're like coaching multiple different levels and tiers of like desire and like goals.
Yeah.
Like there's just guys like him that they just want to learn how to surf better.
You know who Lennon's coach is? Aki.
Hockey?
Aki critiques him. Yeah.
It's on video, bro.
That was funny. But no, I mean,
It's just evolved that way. It's pretty interesting. Like for a while, I guess I was only doing competitive kids, and then it just slowly evolved to be a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've still been working with Parker Cohn a little bit. He's doing pretty well in the QS. Like technical, like he just has a what does he have a problem with? He just mindset, when it comes down to a heat. Well, actually, the top 10 guys, 20 guys in each region is incredible these days, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, so he's got
the talent.
He got second at nationals. So I worked with Parker from like 12 years old to 18 years old, probably about like once a week, same thing. And then he got second at nationals to Baron Mamiya, and then he went to college, and then he came back to after COVID hit. During COVID, he came back and is giving it a go again.
Nice.
And so he's still. I think we're gonna meet up tomorrow morning, and he's still going at it.
Yeah,
He has a chance. He's crazy in big waves. He's really, really good. He's so athletically strong, and he has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
He really does.
And it's cool that when we grew up, that pro surfer age was like young, like you know.
Yeah, you're
yeah,
done.
like
You're
you thought you were
20-something.
done at 30 or like 25.
It's awesome that he made a go. Maybe parents or hey, backup plan, go to college and then come out, and I mean it's a good balance and it's a good mindset to have. Obviously 18 you'd like to have a huge contract and be charging the world, but it doesn't matter. 22 you're still
It's
up
harder
in your
to do
prime,
now.
a few years later.
It's harder to do now with trying, be 18 and get
Oh, for
a
sure.
big contract. Yeah.
But
it's harder than ever.
Touch, yeah, it's
Now,
crazy.
Yeah.
We were talking too on the beach because not only coaching, you're doing.
I've been doing. I was doing Sunrun, so I ended up. I've been teaching the VP of Sunrun how to surf for past 4 years. So
Nice.
the back end of that story was one of the younger kids that I coach, Sam Niger, comes up to me at Creek and was just like, what are you doing, Dave? And we started talking, and what are you doing? And he's like, I started working for Sunrun. You should do that. And I'm like, wait a second. Ty Williams, are you the VP of Sunrun? Should I work for you? And he's like, come into my office. I'll show you what we're doing. So I dove into the solar world.
Wait, you were already teaching him how to surf, and
Yeah,
I
didn't even know what he really did. I
Some
was
tech
just,
company, Sunrun,
Yeah.
who knows, whatever.
I had no idea. Like he was like the VP of a $10 billion company, I think, or something,
Wow.
something crazy. Anyhow, he's traveling the world, traveling the United States constantly from Monday to Thursday, and he would come to me at Friday morning, being torched from traveling and exhausted. But we would do a surf session, and I'd paddle out with him and try to teach him everything I know. And then, but rewind back to and then Sam, I saw Sam and he's like, you should work for Sunrun, and I was like, wait a second, is that Ty's company? And so I jumped into that, and I was like, I want to learn how to sell stuff, like the coaching to me was like gonna be a ceiling that I wanted to crack open of like get into sales, and so I dove into that for a couple years, and yeah, it's going okay. It was just like the guys that do really well. I got Chad Towersy the job over there, Tito. He's
Uncle
doing
T.
really well, Uncle Tito, and
I love his videos.
yeah, he's insane.
When he's going and selling, he has it on the clipboard, and he's just like pitching
He's
it
so
and stuff.
good.
He's so good.
He's so good,
He's
and
got
it's
the
like
gift.
He does.
yeah, and the gift of gab, and it's terrifying going through a neighborhood. It's next level terrifying.
Yeah.
But so like, it was really cool working with Ty Williams because the whole door knocking thing and like door to door sales is like identical to surfing, as in like getting your
Competitive
reps in.
beats
Well,
and-
getting your reps in and just being out there, getting comfortable. It goes hand in hand, and I guess it goes hand in hand with sales basically, and not getting discouraged when you get the no's, and just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
So I haven't been super successful in the sales part of Sunrun, but I still promote the solar, and I am sharing some deals right now with some people, and potentially might start working for Sunrun again. Right now I'm working for a dealer that supplies a bunch of different companies and Sunrun, but I was told a few months ago that I can't supply Sunrun anymore. And right now my gut instinct says that to go with Sunrun, the biggest company, because apparently 50% of the small companies are going to go under in 5 years. So if you don't go with a big company, you might end up orphaned, is what they say, and you can't get anybody up there to maintain them. So that's the solar pitch there.
Long haul. Yeah.
That's the long haul,
Yeah.
the long run, or
Long game.
long game. There it is. Yeah, your honor, the long game. Anyhow, and then I got into it is a WFG, working with Chet Thomas, the pro skater that was part of Volcom from the very beginning. So I'm working with him, and it's a financial education program that basically is dealing with term life insurance and teaching people about finance.
Yeah.
So we walk people through a Zoom, and if they're interested, you can grab some products maybe that if you want to learn more about the education and or about the business, and it's just learning more sales stuff basically. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, how important is wish you had like that kind of guidance when you're young and making money, and just simple things of like, hey,
put away for
IRA, put $100 away in some money market or some retirement, and just how many nights you just blow $100 or $200 a night, it's like, wow, just one night a month less, and just tuck that away, and we'd all be killing it.
So WFG.
Yeah, the World Finance Group, And then, so I'm just diving into that in the last couple months and keeping the coaching going. So basically coach in the morning, coach in the evening, maybe a homeschool kid or a
adult learner,
or an adult learner in the middle of the day, and then filling in the gaps with WFG and the solar stuff.
Nice.
Just staying busy, you know?
Giving you a flexible schedule, but yet filled.
Exactly.
You know?
So that was exactly the goal. It's just like keep it flexible so I can still ditch a day of work and enjoy myself
And shred.
and have my own, and not have somebody yell at me.
Well, that's,
Being your
Has
own
its
boss.
own ups and downs
Yeah.
for sure.
job security, providing, living in Orange County, and trying to be a kid still. I mean, we all want to just how do we make money but stay in the water as much as we can?
Yeah.
Like, that's the goal.
That's the goal.
That is the goal. It's my goal too.
So what's next for coaching?
Next for coaching, I would think the next for coaching would be kind of like a seminar. I've been working on like a surf book forever, as in like taking all these notes and putting them down of like what I think works and doesn't work from from the beginner all the way to the pro level, right? From contest stuff. And so I really want to get groups of kids together and work on mindset, meditation, and then technique all at the same time. So kind of like set up like a group environment.
Yeah.
And walk them through that,
Yeah, I mean, it's so, we didn't have coaches growing up, we didn't have like that. I mean, it's when you got to a level, Quicksilver would do their workout, you got to a level where you did have some support. But, to really, improve, you need your peers, you need rival, you need like people lifting you up. Like, I mean, every day we surfed because there was a lot of good kids in Huntington. We were running heats every day. It's free surfing.
Sparring partner.
Okay, you need sparring. Like, hey, we're running the heat, and like everybody's kind of judging, and you're getting that with like with somebody that has expertise that's kind of looking at everybody, because we would do it and be like, okay, what do you think you gave? You'd always kind of either blow your score up or I didn't. No, you didn't. But you're always judging your own surfing. You're always taking that info from your friends. Hey, that was a sick turn, or hey, you really. But to have somebody that's knowledgeable.
Yeah. Well, now we have digital stuff. It's crazy. It's the instant feedback. I can, like with your iPhone, you could video somebody, throw it on iMovie, split it with a pro, and watch the difference between instantly.
Yeah.
And it's like, here's what you did wrong, and here's the pro did the cutback. Like, oh, that's
what I like.
Hey, go out and try.
Yeah.
And it's like, we couldn't do that.
No.
We had to go home and watch the tape and. Oh,
what
I
like.
suck.
Usually that's what happens when you watch the footage. You're
When
like,
you watch yourself for the
I thought
first
I got
time.
so high. Like, credit card here, bro. Credit card. You barely put your.
What I like during our conversation is how you said the word mentor quite a bit, and that's what coaching is, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because when we've talked to different coaches, we've talked to different pro surfers, and recently we did Nate Yeoman's Big Deluxe, right?
Yeah.
And he slugged it out on the world tour for QS for like 6 years and never made it, and finally hired Kanga.
Oh, really?
Yeah, finally hired Kanga, and
I didn't know that. No way.
that was the difference to make him finally qualify for the world tour. And it's funny to hear and talk about it, because he's like, like he did a seminar with a group of surfers and everyone paid this much, and he's like, dude, I couldn't believe it. This guy's killing it, coaching. He's like, but it was worth it because it got
the results paid off.
It paid off. But yeah, I think what you do, it's like you can recognize talent, right? But if you don't have the desire, like we've been talking about, your talent means nothing,
Yeah.
And it's what you do for the people that want it is important, because you're like giving them confidence and showing them and getting them in the right frame of mind to be more confident and win contests, right?
It's a win-win for coach. You know, like obviously what you're doing is paying off when you see somebody improve, and then the reward of watching somebody improve is like, you're just stoked for them. Like, oh man, I that's you made
it's
it
really
to that
cool.
next.
It's really
you
cool
made it
to
to that
see
next.
people. Hey, dude, you just hit another level today.
Yeah.
Just like you went. Yeah, that was next level.
And it's not like patting yourself on the back, like, I did it all. It's like you're a part of watching something great. Like, hey, it could have been just working on a turn. Could have been that one maneuver they were stuck with. It could have been, hey, guidance on like, that board, you should probably next board you order these dimensions, or just whatever, and then that
gives
get
you
that
that
new board.
little bit extra confidence.
Because when you get that magic board, you're like,
No, it's
It
cool.
makes me think too,
Put that
like
on
the
ice.
Nate Yeoman's one is like he was setting intention of making the tour, like he was paying for it, and he was just like
so dedicated.
he was all in.
All in.
He's like, and I guess like vulnerable, as in like I need help.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he finally,
That's cool. I didn't know he got guided by Ian Cairns. That's cool.
Sometimes it's just maybe it's not so much that particular person, but just putting that pressure, you know, like, hey,
Well,
I'm like
yeah.
doing something different, you know, like you said, going back to the mindset, you know, maybe Kanga did or didn't.
Well,
But he said he gave him a lot of good pointers.
Oh yeah, there's
you know,
a lot
strategy.
of good pointers. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
all that. He's like, yeah, stuff I would have never thought of,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And
Like-
somebody like that, you know, who is a seasoned veteran almost at 6 years trying to grind it out, to finally have something click, right? And then accomplish a milestone and a goal, that's freaking huge. And that's what, you know, coaching does, right?
Yeah.
Mentoring does.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the guys, I mean, the best of the best, whether it's John or you know, like, I don't know who else has coaches like on tour, but like, you know,
Speaking of coaches, Galley.
Galley, yeah.
So
bunch
the
of
one
guys.
contest I did go to Portugal, I was watching a heat and he was losing the whole heat. It got pretty sloppy and bad, and he was comboed up until the last 2 minutes, and he got like 2 high 8s in 2 minutes, and I was like, that's never giving up.
In 2 minutes?
Yeah,
That's
Wow.
so crazy.
like where you just bow, and growing up in Santa Cruz would constantly go to Manresa
Yeah.
and put in his time surfing bad waves, even though there's good waves everywhere. You gotta put in the time
Yeah.
with the bad waves.
Yeah, everybody could surf
Good
decent or
waves.
well in good waves. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah, it's easy to make an excellent wave,
Yeah, you go
get a good score.
You go put a scaffolding on the beach and you go throw like some
Yeah.
jersey, you know the waves are going to get shitty. Right?
Put yourself in a
80% of the
jersey.
time, it's not good.
Right. I remember
Until you get
like
to
when
the-
we were kids and Curran came and spoke at our surf class a couple times, and he would tell us like I would go paddle out on like a 6'6" or 6'8" for like the whole week before the event. I wouldn't even ride my shortboard. I'd just ride like a bigger board. So then when I got onto my board, it felt like
Yeah.
A
lightning,
skateboard.
like a skateboard, you know?
Yeah.
And you're just like, what? I'm gonna go surf. I'm gonna ride my step up, you know? But
Yeah.
it was like just again going through the motion. It worked harder. You had to work harder for everything, and it slopped. You know, you would always
The
surf
4-3.
shitty waves. Like, you know, it wasn't like he was going out at Rincon and, you know, 6 foot. It's like I'm surfing shitty, but that was like, you know, just going through the motions and making it work and grinding every little, you know, get on a freaking zinger.
So you live in San Clemente. You've lived there for a while?
Yeah, let's see. Ever since my kid was in kindergarten, so just about 12 years, 11 years now.
Yep, I'm changing the intro again.
So-
Professional surfer from
so
Orange
back
to Newport
I
to
didn't
San
fill,
Clemente.
fill you guys in like I.
Just kidding.
So during the coaching the Volcom team, one of the kids from Brogy Panesi from San Francisco or Pacifica, him and his family would come down and camp at the the San Mateo campground right by Lowers,
Mm-hmm.
and we were renting in Costa Mesa, and they were camping there all summer long, and the dad would fly back and forth. Somehow my wife was just like, "Do you want to live out of an RV while we work with the Volcom team?" And I was like, "Heck yeah!" So we just started selling everything off, and then within like a couple of months, we were living out of an RV basically.
Wow.
When my kids were 3 and 1, so we jumped in a beater at first, and then we bought like a big 30-foot ultralight trailer, and pulled that thing up and down the coast basically for 2 years.
You're kidding me.
Went up, like
Save a
spent
ton
a
of
lot.
money?
No, thought we were gonna save some money, right? But we like bought the thing like before the new year, and then it was like $30 a night to stay at a state park.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's $900. We'll be saving some money. Well, January 1st, it jumped up to $55 a night, and it was like
kept
more than
going
our
up.
rent.
Yeah.
Damn.
But it was cool because we were just working with the Volcom team, so we spent a lot of time in Malibu with Andrew Jacobson, and then we'd go up and then we picked up Parker Coffin at the time too.
Yeah.
I forgot Parker Coffin was part of the whole team back then too.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'd go up to Santa Barbara and stay up at Carpinteria and hang out with Parker and his family. We'd
That's
go down
cool.
to Seaside at San Julio and hang out with Ryan Birch, you know, and like my whole deal was just to hang out with the Volcom team. So it was like we were just constantly moving every 2 weeks again. It was really fun.
And to be on the part of the
cool.
coast that's kind of like that blowing up that, you know, certain swell directions.
Oh,
like,
it was
hey,
so fun. Yeah, like it's
You're not hitting
Big
traffic every day. You're kind of like, well, we got this swell.
Yeah.
Let's just go to this part of the coast for the next week.
It was
or two.
insane. It was
Yeah.
such a good time.
That's
So
right.
we ended up. Cole Houshman had he was playing flag football with
He was.
a kid.
He was on the soon to go tackle football, the NFL linebacker. But
He should have been NFL for sure. Anyhow, the lady ran the registration at the church's campground, and I got to camp at the church's campground for 2 months, and then that's how we ended up moving down to San Clemente.
Okay.
that's cool.
Yeah, just
So-
fell in love with San Clemente.
The question I was going to ask, Board Riders Club.
Yeah, I'm on Newport's team.
Okay.
Die hard Newport, and I even got my kids on the team. So
Nice.
it is like, I knew that would be a little bit weird, but the field is so deep at San Clemente. I'm stoked that me and my kids are part of the Newport team.
Totally.
We both all three of us got to compete this last summer at Lowers,
Nice.
And my son got like the highest score of the family. He
Sick.
beat me,
That's
which is cool.
awesome.
It was rad to see him
Yeah.
Isn't
tag it 3 times backside at the board riders event at Lowers. It was just like, it was incredible.
That's
It's
killer.
so cool.
Yeah.
So the board riders thing's been super fun too.
Yeah.
That thing's bringing all the cities
all the,
and
all the
old-
generations.
Yeah, it's
We
been
see Archie, we see Machado, we see O'Connell.
it's fun.
Rufo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Besides the fact of the team format, it's just too fun to watch.
Yeah.
Being a surf tweaker,
Yeah.
And it pretty much always goes down to the wire unless. Not with you guys though, huh? HB, you guys smoke everybody like San Clemente.
Yeah,
Was it closest last night?
no.
No,
We won
no.
by 60.
He won by 60.
60.
Something.
50 or 60.
No, it was 60.
Wait, I gotta claim my fame though.
No. But we had home court advantage, and we everybody blew up for sure.
Yeah.
Are you
Including this
whammy
guy
guy?
dropped.
Are you whammy guy?
No, I haven't surfed. I did
Like a burn
last
whammy?
year, and then this year I've been on injury reserve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to surf in it.
You did?
No big deal. I won my intercom contest. No
Nice.
big deal.
No big deal.
Yeah.
First. No big deal. I
Yeah.
whammied to 10. It's
Lenny,
okay.
go get verticals. Now I'm gonna use the figure 8. Do the figure 8, Lenny.
Figure 8.
Figure 8.
All right. Well,
Dude, congrats.
We gotta
could
wrap this up.
Anybody could hit you up for coaching. How do they get a hold of you?
That's a good question.
What's your handle?
DM at SurfCoach Post. Instagram.
Okay, Instagram.
Yep. That's basically the easiest.
SurfCoach post.
SurfCoach Post.
Yeah.
Can't be more simple, right?
Easy. And sunscreen.
The Tava sunscreen,
Yep.
in case you want to talk solar or
Or financials.
or financial education.
Yeah.
I'm down to talk.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, how do we wrap this up?
Yeah.
Are we all wrap?
So,
This has been fun. you guys.
WFG?
This has been really fun.
WFG hit you up for that too.
Yeah. The
And
solar and surf coaching.
Solar, surf coaching.
Oh wait, and the Tava sunscreen.
And
for
Tava
Yeah.
sunscreen.
The Tava sunscreen, to me, this one needs to take off.
yeah.
Yeah.
It works really good.
Yeah.
But I've talked to quite a few guys that are in the sunscreen market, and they said it's the hardest thing ever.
Yes.
I ended up coaching the guy that coaches the kid and the dad started Waterman.
Mm.
Pretty cool. And he's like, the formula was insane. And as soon as when it was small, it was incredible. And then when
Still.
we blew it to big, the formula changed a little bit, and it was we couldn't match the original formula.
Yeah.
Hands on.
Yeah,
Just
but
be-
it's all part of whatever life.
Yeah.
Well, congrats.
Yeah, congrats. We've got some gifts for you.
No
Yep.
way.
Yeah, we got the late night with Chalky hat.
Epic.
Some
Trucker,
koozies. Thank you, Left Coast Novelties.
Yep.
We're also sponsored by Loose Towels.
Yep.
So we
There
got
you
a
go.
little desert bloom for you.
Epic.
Yeah.
And then
And then want to thank Earth Pack for sponsoring the podcast. They make all your packaging and bag needs. They do all the surf shops up and down the coast.
with a family of 4, right?
It's like Christmas.
Yeah.
It is Christmas.
It is.
Dude,
Bonsai Bowl.
What?
Live life in the
Joe?
bowl. Joe Bard.
Joe
Come on,
Bard.
Joe. Thank
You know
you,
you got one of those
Joe.
right around the corner from me down in San Clemente.
Joe helped me sponsor one of my first summer surf programs I did.
Yeah.
And I got to pass out some gift cards to all the kids.
He's
It was
the best,
cool.
dude.
Joe's awesome.
Caballero
Love this
pools and spas. If you're in the mix of adding a wave pool in the backyard? I mean, just a nice
hot tub?
jacuzzi and lounge pool.
We got a hot tub. I highly recommend getting a hot tub.
Dude, they do it. They do
They
a sick
do it.
one. Yeah.
We're also sponsored by Neon Wave, and right now they're doing for $150, I think it is. They get a free late night with Chalky hat on thisisneonwave.com.
Yeah.
So
Never too late to go
Enter
do some
the-
shopping.
late night promo code.
Late
to
night
get it.
promo.
Murph
Murph
Bikes.
bikes. Dude, those things are sick.
Fuax,
Yep.
Finless Skateboards,
Clear weather shoes.
Clearweather brand.
Yeah.
Dude, you guys are
We
flowing.
need some more.
North
You
Side.
guys need more sponsors?
Yeah.
I like it.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
You can
But,
find it in our all
Colby
our
Plus.
handles. Yeah, Colby Plus.
Yeah.
They got.
It's direct to consumer wetsuits, and accessories,
Yep.
but
The Colby suits.
independently owned.
Yes.
Robert Colby. Yeah, Colby Plus.
Yamamoto.
And
Sick German, like zippers and.
I'm gonna have to
like-
write something down here
Yeah, I
for all
know.
the sponsors.
We're kind of blowing it.
Yeah.
We're sorry, guys. Keep sponsoring us.
Yeah.
We'll get through these.
The list is coming.
Infomercials.
The list is coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, Dave,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks,
yeah,
bro.
Yeah. Thank
That was
you.
awesome.
That was awesome. Merry Christmas.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
guys.
Peace.